accessory. A pretty idiot mixing alk and ecstasy, and I'm shot. Is that all you got? You can do a verse all around pop. Famous and reserved the urge to be creeping back soon. I know with cocaine being sniffed in that bathroom. She just sneers, looked at me retarded-eyed. Am I lame? I'm sorry I lied. Your aim is off, so is your point of view. When the hand that God pointed at you, he said you were designed to grow up and go slut. Gave you a pretty face, nice tits, and no butt. Getting away with murder ain't the way to be. And getting bitches all rabies okay with me. Why would I care? It's fake, a living major lies. I don't relate, I placate, I plagiarize. Take that talk for your friend to go home. I know you fly on your shit and you won't leave me alone. The word storm kept her underwear warm till she dripped on the floor, then she slipped out the door. And you like my circle, I can tell, cause it's starry like Orion's bell. I looked in Dad's eyes through my shades, he winked and then ignored me. But look in yours, I know your lily white story. I was underground like this buried garage. A car came around, better wizardry than Oz. Took the 20s and thanks for taking care of it. Jetted in the 911 like a couple terrorists. And I know it's mundane, not pharmaceutical lobotomizing my brain. Cosign, don't need a notary. Trying to steer with this bitch's head and hands all over me. Come dummy, already took your lunch money. Federal on the 101 to a 120. And I'm driving trash, of course, like I'm the first white dude to crash a Porsche. Even though my name's seen as shit's invisible compared to James Dean. My report wouldn't be history. Make sure I'm cremated so nobody could piss on me. I should drop you off, call it a day. I got 0 condoms anyway. So where you going?
Can I get pause? Okay. Anyways, hello everyone. It's your girl Columbia. How are you? I'm fine. Let's get into it. I'm going to plug in my other headphones. Hopefully this works. Okay. Okay, I'm going to see if I can't switch the mic here. Yeah, I know I'm presenting to everyone. Options, default external mic. Okay. So sound check. I hope everybody can hear me. Hi. How's everybody doing? I got the chat on, so I'm going to be looking at the chat. Okay. All right. Everybody's fine. No problem. So let's get into it. So, oh God, now I have to try to remember dates and everything. So I went to Boston recently to see my boyfriend, and I figured I'd vlog about it because we had a really good time. I mean, we just had the most amazing time together. And so, yeah, I want to talk about it. So I left on Wednesday the 15th of week before last. And it was a trip like, okay, so we'll start with kind of the pre-flight stuff and then we'll get to what happened. So we'll do the kind of boring stuff first. It wasn't super boring. I mean, I packed for like a week straight, and part of that was my own, like I had to wash clothes, I had to do all kinds of stuff just to, find luggage and do all that shit just to get ready. And I was so excited. I think like maybe that like Monday, that Sunday, I didn't sleep like at all. Okay, good. We got hearage. That's great. Um, so that Monday, that Sunday, I did not sleep at all. Like I had to go out shopping I had to get groceries, I had to get luggage lock, I had to get a couple other things, and I was just dead to the world. Like I was a fucking zombie. People tried to talk to me. I was like, "What the fuck are you saying?" Um, Regardless though, I got everything that I needed, and I overpacked. I packed like I was going to, the deepest darkest jungle in the fucking Amazon, and I was going to a major metropolitan city. I brought everything. I'm still like, I'm looking at my luggage right now because I haven't even unpacked really, and like I've just been taking clothes out and stuff. But I'm looking at my like bag of tampons that I brought, acting like, well, no, they're just not like they're gonna have tampons in Boston. I mean, come on, right? People just use their tied up hair, don't they? Um, so so I got everything done, got packed, and I really wasn't supposed to leave until like 11. My flight's not till 5 o'clock in the morning on Wednesday, but the trains here stop running at midnight. So I figured, might as well go and, fucking go early to sit at the airport. And if I get there early enough, there'll still be stuff open. Well, I ended up leaving a little earlier than like 11:30 because stuff at home was getting crazy. People were tense because I was leaving, and I was like, I couldn't fucking even. So I was just like, nope. Got on the train at like 10:30, something like that. And it was a nice ride to SFO. Like, I got to listen to music, and I was so excited. Like, you could have said anything to me. I was just jazzed up to the fucking hilt. Got to the airport and like desperately needed a cigarette. So, I walked around the airport for a solid like 15-20 minutes trying to figure out how to get out of the airport just so I could smoke. Insane. So I sat around mostly for hours really, because I had snacks in my wallet. I had snacks in my purse and stuff. So I wasn't super concerned about concessions and all that good stuff. Yeah, Sam, I feel you. I always overpack. Like I brought at least 8 days worth of clothes, 9 days worth of clothes, and I brought like jeans shorts. I brought plenty of stuff I could have worn twice, So I mean, I packed like I was going to be gone forever. And managed actually not to really need or want for anything. That's the big deal. I overpack because I don't want to get there and have to spend money on something I already know that I own. But what I am going to do after kind of I tell you the story of the trip is I'm going to try to give out some travel tips. And I might cut that into a separate video later, just because there's stuff I learned and, I think is important. And this is the first time I've gone this far by myself. Like, I've taken trips by myself, certainly, like SoCal and stuff like that, and to Northern California, but I've never like left the state by my. Oh no, I take that back. I went to Reno with friends, but I've never like not done something with friends or with family. Like, I always travel with friends and family, so this is like the first time going this far by myself. So I want to give other young travelers some tips. But I sat up. I could not sleep at all. I tried to. I sat up and watched Rise of the Third Reich, waiting for my flight, and got checked in and did all that and got through security. I mean, security at SFO is so smooth, like you wouldn't even believe it. Like, I got through really easy, no problem. I didn't even go through the metal detector. They said, "Fuck it." Got to the terminal, and problem number one arises. So I'm hungry, and I say, okay, well, let me stop at one of these places that's just opened, and I'll grab something to eat. So I see this Napa Valley Farms. I stop there first. Want to get to my gate. I want to be sitting there and waiting, and I want to get to one of the little workstations they have at SFO to charge up my stuff, right? And so I buy this like $5 muffin and a cup of coffee. I knew the coffee was going to be weak. I could just tell, right? But I wasn't tripping. I just wanted some coffee. So, and it was actually a good thing, because the weaker it is, the easier it would be for me to sleep. What some random geek says, my brothers got me to pack a backpack worth of stuff. So we had only a carry-on. And we were only gone for 3 days. Yep, I feel it. I stuffed my carry-on, some random geek, and I'm gone for 5 fucking days. Jesus Christ. And I came back with an ass load of stuff. Like, I even that second carry-on, boy, I was hiding that. Because it did not fit under the seat. I had to like stuff it with my feet under the seat. That was unsafe as fuck. Anywho, um, so I go to Napa Valley Farms, pick up this expensive ass muffin, this weak ass coffee, and that muffin was an apple crunch muffin. And let me tell you something, someone should sue them, because it was neither apple nor was it crunchy. All right, I was pissed, right? And then because that, I didn't want to spend a lot of money in the airport on overly priced airport shit. So I didn't want to like say, well, I'll go someplace else, get something else. Just said, fuck it, live what you got. And honey, you better believe the burger joint is a little place inside of SFO that opened up, and oh, it was smelling so good, and I was sitting there so mad. So finally, finally we start boarding. Actually, before boarding, they called me and they told me, well, we changed your seat. And I was like, whatever. So finally we start boarding, and I'm in boarding group like 6. And if you know anything, the first 4 boarding groups on American Airlines are priority boarding, first class boarding. I think it's the first like 2 or 3 groups, right? And then everybody else, basically, you getting on with like the animals and the cargo and shit. Yeah. Oh yeah, it was special, all right, some random geek. It was special as fuck. Special in that it was just dough, all right, with a little cinnamon in it. There you go. So basically, if you're in anything but first class, you basically getting on with like the animals and the sheep and everybody else. So it's really no point in lining up, right, and waiting when your boarding group is called, because effectively you can get on the same plane at roughly the same rate anyway. So I was in an aisle seat, which I thank the gods for, because it was a long flight. Even though I like a window seat, because I like to look out the window and pontificate or whatever. So I sat in my little aisle seat, and I was excited. I was still a little pissed off from what had happened at the house when I was, before I left and whatever. But I was just glad to be kind of getting on the road and finally, getting to where I had to go. As exhausted as I was, because mind you, in the 4 days prior to the trip, I maybe slept 8 hours total, right? And that's like 4 hours here, 3.5 here, probably a little closer to like 12 hours, right, over 4 days. So I didn't sleep super much more like 4.5 hours, because more like 4 hours a day. So I did not sleep very well for the anticipation and excitement and anxiety, because I'm gonna be honest, I gained about 15 pounds since the last time he seen me, and I thought, oh god, my worst fear was that he's gonna see me and dump me at the airport. Like, I don't know, right? I don't know what the fuck's gonna happen. But I was glad to be getting on the fucking plane, and I'm sitting next to 2 young girls who are nice enough. They're like, "Oh, hi, I'm Ashley. I'm blah blah blah," and and it's 5 o'clock in the morning. So your thing is, I don't really want to talk to you. You know what I'm saying? Like, you just here with me, but I don't really want to talk to you. If we was on a train together, I wouldn't be talking to you. So, but they were nice. They were super nice ladies. They were coming back from a trip and they were going, I think, to North Carolina. So, real sweet. Da, 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 da. I did not sleep on the plane. I listened to music a little bit. I mostly listened to like the Game of Thrones audiobook. And I got a couple hours into that. But mostly I didn't do a whole hell of a lot on the plane. Like I didn't really, I think I had something to drink. I didn't have any booze or anything, but I was just like, I was kind of in this zombie state where I wasn't doing anything, but I wasn't like actively listening to music or anything like that. So I get to North Carolina. So everything's good. The flight's good. And I'm a person that likes to sleep through the turbulence. Like, it's turbulence that puts me to sleep, right? So when the plane hits a bump, I'm out. If we crash and I'm be the one sleeping. So I have a connecting flight in North Carolina to Boston. So we get to North Carolina, and one thing was, it was super green, like there's so much forest and stuff around, and it was beautiful right from the plane. So I get in their airport, right? Now, mind you, I had an idea in my head, one, that the gate that I was going to go to was going to be close to the gate where my next flight was going to be. So I thought, oh, I'll have time to go eat, because it's about an hour layover, a little less than an hour layover. So I figured, I'll have time to eat, blah, blah, blah. I do the mobile check-in. No, so I don't have any problems, da, da, da. Find out that I'm now on the other side of the airport, racing to the far side of the airport to get to the gate I'm supposed to be at. So I'm passing places thinking, well, maybe I'll stop here, maybe I'll stop there. I have my heart set on going to Bojangles because we don't have them here in California. I think they're mostly located in the South, and they're a fried chicken place, and I always like to try fried chicken away from home. But unfortunately, on top of being irritated about the gate situation, having to go through this airport, which I'm only familiar with via the map I basically studied while I was at home, my stomach kind of hurt, and I was worried I was going to feel bad when I got there. I was going to hurl when I got there. So I stopped at a store to get some Pepto-Bismol. And one thing that I noticed was that all of their stores, all the kind of airport stores, are branded with NBC shows, or with NBC shows basically. So the store I stopped at was a CNBC Express. Now, when I saw that on the map, I thought, oh, this is going to be like a store tailored to business travelers, but it's just like any other airport kind of convenience store. So I thought that was strange. And another strange thing about North Carolina was, everywhere in the airport, there were pictures of Franklin Graham. Now, if you don't know who Franklin Graham is, he's a famous preacher from North Carolina, who is the father of Billy Graham, who you may be more familiar with. Billy Graham is an evangelist preacher, so is Franklin Graham, who dabble in things like faith healing, who dabble in things like creationism, who are certainly vehemently like anti-LGBTQ plus, and who really push that, and who are very popular in the evangelical Christian community, particularly in the South. And I mean, he was on posters in the airport. He was on postcards in the stores. And I'm thinking, what the fuck kind of backward place does this boy have me in? All right. I mean, I don't want to get lynched at this fucking airport. And I got a couple dirty looks, and I shot him right back because I was like, I'm from California. I'll play that shit. So I didn't really have time to eat, and by the time I got to my gate, they had already basically started boarding, right? But it was priority, so I didn't worry. I just kind of sat my ass down and said, well, I'll have the snacks in my bag, right? So I'm sitting there eating my snack, and I overhear two older white people talking next to me. And the lady had kind of given me one of those looks, and I didn't give a shit what she was thinking. But she says to her husband, and I quote, "Now, Harold, I know you've never had sausage pizza before. It's all right, Sam. I wasn't really tripping because it can be terrible sometimes, but I wasn't really tripping because I was on my way to see my man, and I was about to get pounded, right? Like, in a good way, all right? I was about to get my V card fucking, eliminated. I just kid. I know what that means, and I still said it anyway. No, I trust me, I wasn't a virgin when I met up with him, but I was about to get my vag pounded, so I could care less, like, what some old white bird wants to say to me or look at me for. Let him look, right? I don't give a shit. Um, but, um, she says to her husband, and I quote, now, Harold, I know you've never had sausage pizza before. And it just confirmed everything I thought, right? Like, so you telling me this fucking place is so backward. You've never had a sausage pizza? Lady, there are only 3 standard pizza flavors. 4, really. There's the margarita, the traditional pizza, that's just some basil and some a little sauce and some cheese on a crust. There are sausage pizzas, there are pepperoni pizzas, and cheese pizza. That's it. Right? Any pizza place on this planet will sell you that. Okay? You go sit here and you gonna tell me you've been living in such a fucking backwater, you ain't never had a sausage pizza? Hell nah. Hell nah. I'm afraid to even call you an American. How dare you? How dare you disrespect pizza like that? I can't even believe it. I couldn't even believe it when I heard it. Me and Cookie was dying over the shit though. So I get on this plane in North Carolina. I'm just like, get me the fuck out of here. Got out of North Carolina. It's about an hour and a half, 2 hours to Boston. So I was chill. The lady I was sitting next to, she was super chill. She made a cute little joke because she kind of bumped into me and was like, "Oh, don't worry, I'm not trying to come on to you." I was like, "Well, if you are, you kind of cute." And I was sort of half looking out the window. She was kind of slim, so she wasn't monopolizing the window. Right? There's even thank you, some random geek. There's even frozen sausage pizza. How could you be living on this earth? Because they were good into their 60s, early 70s. You telling me you've been on this earth nearly 70 years and you ain't had no sausage pizza? What you been doing this whole time? Where you been at? I know people who are racist against Italians who've had sausage pizza. All right. Anyways. So I kind of looked out the window a little bit. See, Sam got frozen sausage pizza in the Netherlands and shit. All right, everybody, girl, bye. You and Harold need to get your ass. This is why you and Harold need to be on the plane. You need to get your old asses out there. Anyway, let me stop being disrespectful to old people. Anyway, so I could sort of tell we were over Massachusetts because it was super green and you could sort of see the small aisles close. I think I saw Martha's Vineyard from the sky or whatever. And my heart started like pounding. Like I was flipping out, okay? And I was, it was a good thing, but oh my God, when I realized we were in Massachusetts, I was flipping out. And I also realized we were in Massachusetts because I could see somebody like jet skiing on kind of a murky lake, and I was like, yeah, that seems like something people do here. So I'm excited. I'm flipping out. I have no idea where I'm going. I don't even know if he's at the airport yet, blah, 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 blah. So we land. I turn on my phone, and he hits me up and is like, "Oh, baby, what gate are you going to come through? So I know where to meet you at baggage claim and stuff like that. Or what's your flight number?" And I'm like, I don't know. I don't even know what my name is anymore. I haven't smoked in like maybe 7.5 hours, like counting the time like the boarding took and stuff like that. So I haven't smoked in several hours, so I'm already ornery and like tired and still a little pissed off, right? So I'm just like, fuck, what do you mean what gate? I don't know. Just stand over by some stuff and I'll find you. I didn't even answer his messages, right? I just got off the plane and made like a beeline to baggage claim. So I went to baggage claim, looked for my stuff for a minute. I looked to my left, and there he is. He looked dead at me, y'all, and did not recognize me. So instead of being, like the compassionate, loving girlfriend that I'm supposed to be, right? And say, "Oh, my baby, I'm so happy to see you," or "Hey, baby," or anything like that, it was, "Oh, so you don't recognize your own girlfriend?" Thank God I have a good boyfriend because he laughed. He laughed and we hugged and we kissed and we got a little sloppy. And he was like, "Oh, baby, do you, I was like, "We got to go out for a cigarette right now. Fuck my bag." Right. So we went out and smoked and kissed and talked and, the pleasantries. "Oh, how was your flight?" And I told him kind of what the drama that had transpired at the house and all that stuff. And, I was just like, but all that melted away. Like the moment I saw him, it all just kind of melted away. And he looked exactly the same, but a little more gray hair. So I was, and I love me a salt and pepper. So I was jazzed up. Um, So I made it. So I was like, get me to a cigarette, right? So we smoked and I was all right, even though I wanted, my body felt like, give me three more. But it was all good. We made it back to baggage claim and I got my bag and we got on, we got to the bus. They'll take us to the train, right? And I kind of razzed him because I'm like, I'm tiny, struggling with this bag. And I'm like, Cookie, hello. And he was very sweet. He took my bag and, was, big sweetheart. Like, I love him. What a good guy he is. Swear to God. Like, amazing time, right? So one thing, I'm looking out the window and I've looked down at at the airport and I've been looking around and I don't see no trash. This is a major metropolitan city, right? And I'm not seeing, like garbage everywhere. Like, and I'm not saying San Francisco it gets a bad rep and it's not super dirty, but a lot of every major metropolitan city I've ever been to, there's drink cups, people spill stuff, they litter, da da da. Not Boston. Boston is incredibly clean. I mean, eerily so. I was shocked by how clean they are. Don't worry, you guys will get pictures soon. Once we get to the point where we actually did stuff, I'll turn on the I'll turn on the slideshow. We'll start with the pictures. I didn't take a hell of a lot of pictures either. And we're literally only in two pics. We took basically one selfie together and we took like one for safety. So, that was me being an asshole. But I got a chance to see like downtown because we had to take the orange line to the red line, and the red line starts in downtown. So I got to see a little of that while my first kind of outing there, and it was like I said, remarkably clean. People were, it's a big city, right? Um, yeah, there's trash in Seattle. Oh yeah, there's trash, right? Um, like I said, everywhere I looked, I was looking for just like trash on the street and you didn't see it. Like I was shocked. You could eat off of their streets. I mean, it's just, and he was, and he's like flipped out because I told him my only real takeaway from this is how clean Boston is. And he's like, really? I'm like, honey, it is so clean here. The train stations are clean, clean, clean. There's no, I mean, I didn't even see like bird poop everywhere. And I'm used to at least that. Right, right. Pictures can wait because I wanted to see my baby boy. That was the most important. Like seeing my boyfriend was so like made me so happy, right? So, I'm already like exhausted, nicotine deprived, right? And now now I'm waiting for another train. So I just kind of made out with him to make the time pass quicker because I really just wanted a cigarette. Even though I kind of had one on the street, like my body is still like, I smoke. I'm gonna have to take a break, like take you guys with me outside to smoke during this, right? So, get on the train, everything's cool. We're happy to see each other. He's playing tour guide already. So he kind of points out, okay, that's the river that divides Cambridge, Somerville, and Boston. I'm like, oh, that's cute. I didn't take a picture. Didn't care. Right. um, so we finally got off the train, stopped at CVS, picked up some more snackies, finally got back to his flat, and I can't remember, here's what I'm pretty sure, we kind of made out or whatever, but I cannot remember for the life of me what happened like when we first got there. I know we ordered a pizza. In my mind, the recollection of events is this. We ordered a pizza, we ate the pizza, and we had sex. And somewhere after that, I fell asleep. But I can't remember what happened after that. Right? Because I feel like I just fell asleep and I was so exhausted you couldn't have asked me to remember shit. So at some point he like I think we went out for a smoke after I woke up from a nap and then we both went back to sleep. We both went to sleep. And like mind you, I call him, yeah, piece of sex sleep. That's how you do it, baby. That's the life you lead, honey. Um Oh yeah, it was good. Trust me. Trust me. If for nothing more than just like the sex, it was good. But then you get, or like you add on like really good food, and I haven't even gotten to the fucking food yet, y'all. Like we gonna get there because I'm taking it day by day, so we gonna get there. So this is the 15th, right? So closing it on the 15th. Now we're gonna go to the 16th. So what I am gonna do is I'm gonna add myself on Hangout on my phone because I'm gonna go and smoke, because now we're getting to the part where I'll have to, fucking pull up pictures and shit. So I want to get a smoke break in before that happens. But we had, the pizza was decent. The pizza was pretty decent. He even commented it's normally better, but, and I could see that. I probably should have gone with something a little more traditional, because he asked me basically what I wanted. And I was like, oh, let's try something new and adventurous, make him think I'm not some kind of pizza prude. Because let me tell you, my man love him some pizza. That man love, you ain't hearing me. That man love him some pizza. Okay. And I didn't want to like disappoint. I didn't want him to think I was some kind of pizza prude. Okay, hold on. Do I have to send the invite link? I've forgotten how to do this too. Okay, so here's my invite link. Okay, got that, got that. Now I just have to send it, I think, to myself, which I will do via Facebook. Anywho, um, but you'll have to ask him. I really wanted to. I considered like, what is it? What is it? I considered I don't care if niggas ended up joining because of my fucking dumb screen sharing shit. Um, I would consider, like I said, I would definitely consider like eating there again. It was really good. Um, but like I said, you don't want your boyfriend thinking you're some kind of pizza prude. Okay, so let's go get. I had to put on some pants, y'all. I ain't got on pants right now. Oh, and like my boyfriend does it. I'm gonna say it too, because this is Lady Columbia's travel vlog. So I'm gonna talk about the dirty. All right. I enjoyed being intimate with my boyfriend. Like I enjoy fucking him a lot. That first night he wore a condom, and then that was it. Right? It was like, oh yeah, we responsible the first night, but then every night after that, I don't know about that, all that. And if he want to get at me for saying that, he'll be reminded that he didn't say it was us, but he done put out some shit on Twitter about our little relationship. So I don't want to hear nothing from his ass. All right. He can kiss. Uh yeah, autofill. Damnation. Okay, hold on. So the first night was amazing, but you know how it is. Like, you love your man, but I had to sleep, yo. And I swear to God, I have never slept better. Why are you playing me like this? Why are you doing this to me, honey? Normally, she don't. Now my phone wants to act out. Of course. Come on, baby girl. I need you not to act out. Oh, of course, I need you not to act out. And what do you do? She's like, "No, mama, I do what I do's what I want." No, it asked me to. Fuck. Okay. Ugh. I used to be able to know how to do this. Right? Responsibility. Fuck responsibility, my nigga. I'll tell y'all how irresponsible it got in a minute. All right. Fuck. I cannot get this thing to fucking do the duel. So I may have to take the whole computer. So you know what? We're taking the whole computer. I don't play around when it comes to smoking. So since I'm taking the whole computer, we'll continue this little conversation we're having. So the second day we got up kind of early, and you know what we did. I mean, I don't think you need to know. Like, of course we fucked, right? So we fucked, and then we packed up a little bit because he got an Airbnb for the rest of the time I was there. So we packed up because we knew we were going to go, fuck around in Cambridge for the rest of the day and then go over to the Airbnb. So we went to this little restaurant called The Neighborhood for breakfast, and it was good. I really like, if you're in Boston, I would suggest going there. My only thing is the pancakes where I've had way better pancakes. I make way better pancakes, so don't order the pancakes. The sausage and the bacon was okay, but what was really, really good was the beans and rice. They're like a Portuguese spot, and they made some bomb ass beans and rice, well seasoned. Everything was tender and nice. It was perfect. So if you're in Boston, I would suggest The Neighborhood. Go for breakfast, get beans and rice. If I'm telling you what to get like sausage or bacon, or if you're vegetarian or vegan, just get the beans and rice and like toast. Perfect. So, we sat up and enjoyed each other's company and talked mad shit and, talked about what we were going to do for the rest of the day and had a nice meal together. And that was really nice. We went over, got in a lift, went over to Cambridge. And so, I guess it's time to start the pictures. So let's do that. Okay. Application window. Here we go. Okay, so I will say that a lot of these pictures are duplicated because I took a lot of safety, so don't be mad. But we went over to Cambridge, and that is Cambridge's City Hall, right? That's where the first gay marriage in the United States was performed. Um, and a lot of places, a lot of their like institutional places, city halls, firehouses had Black Lives Matter. In fact, I only saw one place that had a counter, and it was some place that had an All Lives Matter. And I don't know if I think it was the VFW or something. So yeah, that's Cambridge City Hall, and that's kind of a better picture of it. And that's my safety picture. Right. I love the little clock. I love the clock and everything. Everything in Boston's super historical, so it's super cool. And then there's their sign. And I'm thinking, what kind of fucking city hall is open till noon? What you niggas be doing? Oh, you open till 5? Come on, bruh. What kind of bush is that? Oh, if you see me on Twitter, you've seen this picture already. I loved this. I saw it and thought, oh, so Ben Franklin is a masshole now. Oh my God. Go to Temple of Groom, all right, where they will hook you up and apparently grow you some hair on the sides and the top where you don't have hair anymore. And for real, they ain't tripping. Don't try that at home. Don't try that at home. So, there wasn't much else. There was a square I didn't get a picture of, but there wasn't much else. Stopped at a Starbucks. Everybody was so nice down there too. Another toothless guy hit on me, and I was like, listen, I already got plenty of toothless men back in my house. All right, back in my fucking place, fucking trying to get at me. I don't need more. I don't need toothless men from across the country trying to get at me, right? And then they saw, and so on the way out of the place, because I was looking for a bathroom. On the way out of the place, I grabbed Cookie's hand real quick, and they were like, "Oh yeah, I don't fuck with that brother." Now, mind you, I want to keep this in mind because you're not going to see it in the photo, and I'm not going to show the photo where you would see it because I look atrocious. There is a significant height difference between me and my boyfriend. I am 5'1". I always say 5'1.5", but I'm 5'1". He's 6'4". Okay, so I don't know how many people were looking at us because they were like, "Why is this dwarf with this giant?" Or how many people were looking at us because we're an interracial couple, or how many people were looking at us because like they wanted to get at me and like try to get at me and try to like have sex with me. But all I know was when people realized I was with him, their eyes kind of changed because they realized, oh, this guy can fucking beat my ass. So I didn't take much else in Cambridge, but I took more in Cambridge, but not at the square we're at. And once you get further down, you're basically at Harvard, right? So we were kind of maybe 5 to 6 blocks from Harvard. So this is the Liette and Pierce tobacco shop. It's a really old tobacco shop. I think they established it in like the 1800s or some shit. One of the reasons I took a picture was I don't know what I just did. If you zoom in, you'll see that's your girl, Columbia. That's exactly me too. That's me with tobacco in my hand, 7 cigars, and a dress that's about to come off. That's me. And you can see the little C in the middle if you look real hard. So yeah, that's your girl Columbia atop a tobacco shop, exactly where I should be. Before we got to Harvard, though, I stopped in a little smoke shop, and I bought a new pipe, right? Because I wanted to get something that I would use, um, that I could kind of keep with me. So there you go. And here's a picture of one of the outer halls of Harvard, and then this is inside of Harvard Square. At some point, I'm gonna go have a cigarette, but in a minute. And then this is the official like little Harvard Square kiosk. And I'm gonna tell you, the Massachusetts people ain't too cute. You could tell the transplants because they wasn't too cute. Now we're gonna couple on one of my favorite pictures, me and my baby. Aw, and like I said, I was so jazzed up. Like you could tell, I was too jazzed, and my makeup looks kind of cute. So I was glad the picture came out, even though like my sunglasses are like caked in makeup, right? And you just see like I am so jazzed up, like right in front of Harvard Square. I think we're right in front of Harvard, the train station, right? Because the background is basically the train station. But we were at Harvard Square, just fuck it. And just dying too. Like the whole time we were giggling about everything. Like we giggle about people on the street. We giggle about our little inside jokes. We were fucking dying. So let me check on my messages. Aw, daw. Show. Right? Fuck all lives matter. Um, okay, bye some random geek. We'll see you later. Yeah, I know, daw. That's my baby. We went to thank you. Thank you, Sam. I think we're super cute too. So we went to Newberry Comics, which is like famous there, over by Harbor, and we bought Funko Pops. I want to say like I think I bought both of my, the whole time we were like buying each other shit, and we'd have to race each other to like pay for stuff because he'd want to fucking spoil me and I want to spoil him, so it was just like, that was fucking difficult. But yeah, I got my little Demona Funko Pop. Once I saw they had Demona, I had to get it, and I got Sailor Mars. And they never have Sailor Mars, right? And I'm not one of these motherfuckers that doesn't take shit out the box. I'll take shit out the box. Now this piece, I just had him ship this to me because it is lightweight fragile. When we were on the street right outside of the Harvard bookstore, I also bought a copy of God Emperor Dune there. Right out of the Harvard bookstore, there's a guy. He's actually right in front of like I think like the Boston City Trust Bank. And his name is Chris Gallo. You can find him on Twitter. You can find him on Instagram. He sells these surrealist, Dadaist pieces that I absolutely adored. And I saw this and I had to have it, right? So I stopped him. I said, "How much?" He said, "Well, it's 45, but we can work together, right?" And I was like, "All right, 40, right?" And he's like, "All right, 40." So I gave him 40. He let me know too that it did bend a little bit. So all I have to do is put a dictionary over it. But I love this. I love this so much. Like I said, I knew when I bought it, I didn't have room in my luggage for it. My sweet boyfriend shipped it back to me. So give him some props and some love for that. And I told him I paid for the shipping, right? So when I get paid, I got to remember I owe him for the shipping. I owe him for the shipping, right? But I am thinking about, and because I think this guy's gonna be famous. Like his pieces are really high quality, they're beautiful. This is done on canvas. He clearly drew Rick. Like he does, his pieces are amazing. If you, like I said, his name is Chris Gallo. He's at Nerdy Gallo on Gallo spelled Gallo. If you can go to Nerdy Gallo on Instagram, where he has more followers. Go follow him. And he has very few followers on Twitter. So go follow him on Twitter at Nerdy Gallo, Chris Gallo, and you'll see the back of the piece in a minute with all of his info on it. This is a gorgeous piece, guys. I love it. He does really great work. And like I said, I think he's gonna be famous one day. I'm hoping he's gonna be famous because I want to be able to sell this motherfucker for 10 grand. But honest to God, I love this piece. I loved a lot of his pieces. He had a girl with the pearl earring that had the socket, the face had a electrical socket over her face. Loved it, loved it. Um, so yeah, go fuck with Chris Gallo. His info is on the screen right now, and I'll try to leave it in the description too. That's a different day. So we went. So we left Harvard. Um, I kind of wanted to come back because they had a statue of Charles Sumner, and then I kept going around Boston. They had pictures of fucking Charles Sumner every goddamn where, so it wasn't, So I got a picture of a different statue. But we went to Harvard. And we left and we were on our way to this Airbnb, right? And it was sort of out there, it was we actually the driver had to take the streets because the freeways were packed, and it was a really nice drive. He was a really cool driver too. Somebody jumped in front of us and he was like, "Hey, what are you doing, man?" He was real kind of calm about it. I gave him the chin flip off and he was dying laughing. Cookie was dying laughing like, Psh, right, this is my nigga right here. So, whenever you approve of my antics, you become my nigga. So we went, we were in this kind of very affluent area. We got to drive through kind of a very affluent area in Boston. I'm not sure what it was called, but it was very nice, beautiful area. Like it was such a nice drive. Um, and we got to Mattapan, which is a traditionally black neighborhood in Boston. So I was, saw a lot of black people around. I knew, and I was like, all right, cool, cool, cool. A lot of black people in Boston too. Everywhere I went, there was black people in Boston. I didn't expect to see as many black people as I did. So that was really comforting and nice. And, of course, when you hear people like, blowing their bass out, fucking, destroying their cars and bouncing down the street, you're just like, I feel so at home. Like I didn't feel homesick. I missed my dog terribly, but I did not feel homesick like at all. Because shit, it was like being at home anyway. So he had called, I don't know why I said we. He had called the individual that he was getting the Airbnb from and let her know we were going to be a bit late, that we had kind of gotten a late start that day and we stayed at Harvard longer than we planned to, and da 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 da. So that we would be there as soon as was humanly possible. So, oop, come on now. All right, now we're taking the computer outside for a smoke. So we called her, no response. Okay, that happens, whatever, figure fuck it. Try her again on the way there. Tried her again, no response. Said, okay, this is clearly going to be a long day. Right? So, I wasn't super tripping. We were going to show up at her house anyway, regardless. And it's not like he didn't have a place to stay, period. So I was like, fuck it. I even lightweight chided him because he's kind of messy like me, although he's a hell of a lot cleaner than I am. I even chided him a little bit like, so why aren't we staying at your place? Because it's nice. It's got a big flat for what it is. You know what I'm saying? So called her, no response. We were outside of her house, right? Still called her, no response. So I again said, okay, cool, whatever, baby. I'm not worried about it. I'm gonna have a cigarette and we'll figure it out, right? She'll have to respond at some point. Knocked on the door, no response. So she comes out in her bedclothes the moment we light up a cigarette. And hurries us into the house, right? And she has what later we determined was a Haitian accent. But when I was mocking, it was Jamaican because I can't do Haitian accent, but I can do a Jamaican accent. So she's like, "Oh, come in, come in." She put out the cigarettes, threw them in the street, came in, and she was like, "Yo, John." And Cookie's like, "No, that's not me." And he's like, "Well, I have a John here." No, he's like, he's like, he booked this like a month in advance. Like, what the fuck? So she didn't know who the fuck was coming up in her house, right? And then she proceeds to tell us some rules, right? Okay, well, I want you all smoking outside. You all smoke outside. Yeah, okay, fine. But could you, but I need you to smoke in the back. And I was like, eh. A lot of things happen in the back in Boston too. That's one thing. Like people get served out the back, people with entrances are through the back. And I'm like, are we living in segregation times, my nigga? Because I don't like that I'm black and going through the back stuff. I go through the front. But anyway, So she didn't want to smoke in front of her house. Okay, fine, whatever. A little weird. Normally the street's the street, people don't mind, but you know, it's whatever. I'm not even gonna cry about it. So you two are in the attic and read the list of rules up there and enjoy yourselves, right? I don't even think she said enjoy yourselves, right? She kind of smiled, let us up to the attic, and everything is clean and ready for you. Okay, cool, fine. So we're both kind of tired or whatever, so we just want to chill up for a minute because we're gonna go out to dinner, go out that night. So chill out for an hour or two, and then freshen up and go. Then I grab the list of rules off the top of the TV, and that's when I started to get a little like, boy, what you put us into. So, okay, so no drinking, no drugs, fine, right? This is someone else's home. You would have the same rules if somebody came into your home. But then it was like no alcohol in your room. And I'm thinking, well, wait a second, wait a second, wait a second. I'm 27 years old. He's 37 years old. I think he's 38 now. He's 38 now. Right? Whatever. We're both grown ass people, right? And we're responsible adults, right? Enough that I've made it out here to travel and he's, accommodated this, right? So I'm a little like, we hadn't planned on it, but ultimately, like, I had sort of said to him that I wanted to have a day, maybe, if it rained or something like that, where we picked up some, a couple of bottles of wine or whatever. I said a box because I like the little box Sunset Blush because I'm real fucking trashy like that. Um, yeah, we picked up some liquor and, just got bombed and hung out, right? Mind you, we were supposed to have stayed at this place the rest of the time I was there. So I was already like, so once I saw no alcohol, I was thinking, what? I can understand you don't want people partying in your house. That makes sense, right? But we're a couple, right? We haven't invited anyone else over, right? If we want to drink some wine in our room, that should be our business, right? And if something gets fucked up or whatever, then charge a fee and that's cool. That's how I feel about it. So I was miffed a little bit when I first saw that. I said, okay. Kept reading down, and then it was like no food in your room. And I was like, wait a second. But no alcohol, right? Like I said, I'll pay you. I would have paid her extra. I would have paid a cleaning fee if we had gotten wine anywhere or whatever, but we're adults. We're not children renting your house. You know what I'm saying? So don't worry because we got more rules. No food in your room. And I'm thinking, well, wait a second. We're gonna go out to eat. If I get so what does that mean? All the food had to be stored in the refrigerator, in her refrigerator, in a kitchen, mind you, that I don't get to cook in. Okay. And I can right? That's what I'm saying, Sam. What the fuck? Now I can understand you don't want me cooking in your kitchen, right? Because if I damage something or whatever, I could start a fire. Da, 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 da. I can understand you don't want me cooking in your kitchen, even though I was pissed off about that because I had wanted to cook him dinner. Um, but I can't eat food in your room. The fuck? I could rent a hotel room in anywhere in this country, probably anywhere in the world, and that's not a problem, right? So that really miffed me, and I looked over at him and I asked him, "Baby, did you know about these rules before you booked this place?" And he was like, "Some of them." He really didn't, though. He really didn't. So, and the look in his eyes was, Cookie is a real cool customer. Great Pirate Solomon is the type of guy who he is so super chill. He is not the type of guy to fly off the handle. That's not him, right? Um, but you could see the look in his eyes. He was perturbed. So no food. You got to go downstairs. Blah, blah. They serve breakfast at like 7 in the morning, right? And I'm like, fuck all that. This isn't a real bed and breakfast. I don't trust you to make me breakfast. Although somebody was making onion rings and I was fucking hungry for it, but I couldn't take them back up to my room. So I said, fuck it. And here's something that really should have been said to me while we were kind of checking in, which was that if you, right, were you allowed to breathe? Barely. barely. No peanut products. And mind you, and no nuts, right? No nuts, period. No peanut products. Now, mind you, I've got a bag of pistachios in my fucking check-in bag, in my big, like, roller case. So I'm like, whatever, motherfucker. Like, because her son, who is staying, like, we assumed we'd have the entire attic to ourselves. Okay. And although she has several beds in the attic, we assumed that we would, we'd have the whole room. We had the whole room, right? But there's a room adjacent to ours that is her son's room. And he, he's some kind of recluse. And I won't hate because I'm some kind of recluse, but he's some kind of recluse with a peanut allergy. And I'm just like, this is too much. So I can't eat. I can't sleep in here. I can't do whatever, And now I got to worry about little Peanut over there dying because I brought a bag of pistachios in this motherfucker. So I hadn't said this to him. I was hoping to kind of have talked to him before I made this, but I don't think he'll make it all the way through this before we talk. I didn't want to say, baby, let's get the fuck out of here right that moment. One, he wanted to stay overnight. And I said, okay, let's do that. Maybe in the morning we'll feel better about it. So I said, all right, I looked over the rules and was out there kind of annoyed and said, you know what, I'm going to freshen up and then, you'll freshen up and then we'll go out to dinner. So before that, we went outside. Before we freshened up, he was like, oh, you want to go out and smoke? I said, yeah, come on, let's go out and smoke. So we both went out and smoked. And we met Big Daddy. I called her Big Mama in Big Mama's house. And then, and so we met Big Daddy. And Big Daddy was very, kind of, a man who is, small on words, but a very friendly guy, right? And they had 2 dogs. Yeah, I trust me, we were not super comfortable, especially with Big Mama running around her negligee all the goddamn time. So went outside, Big Daddy was nice to us and and we went outside before we freshened up because I still had my NASA shirt. And we met her dogs, and one of her dogs just fell in love with me. That would have been the only reason I would have stayed there, was the dog. And I would have really requested that the dog stay with me, like, because I missed my dog, and to have a dog that was super friendly and liked me and was following me everywhere, I really wanted that dog to stay with me, boy. Big Daddy was nice. And so while we're outside the first time, Cookie's sort of like, what do you think? And I'm like, it's all right. It's a lot of rules, but we'll be okay. I didn't want to say anything. He'd spent money on the place already. I didn't want to, shit all over it. Right. Because you could see in his eyes that he was uncomfortable and that he didn't want to. And I said, whatever you want to do, baby, I go with you. So if you want to leave, we can leave. You want to stay, we can stay. Right. I just didn't want him to feel some type of way. I told him, and I meant it, we could stay in a cardboard box. And he was here. We stayed in a, 2-star maybe hotel, motel, right? So I really wasn't like tripping super hard about where we stayed. And if he wanted to write it out, I would have written it out and had a longer story to tell about Big Mama. But anyways, we went out that night. She kind of, she's like, oh, you're going out, da da da. And she saw that we both had on NASA shirts. Interestingly enough, we didn't know this, but it was the 60th anniversary of NASA that day. So we were like, yeah, da 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 da. She's like, oh, do you work for NASA? I was like, would I be staying in this fucking shithole if I worked for NASA? Get the fuck out of here. Her house was nice. I'm not going to begrudge her. Her house was really nice, but it was full of fucking ugly tchotchkes too, And that trope about Black people having a lot of African stuff? Well, she lives that trope every day of her life. Guys, let me give you a little tip. In decorating, less is more. Less is always more. You don't need a billion tchotchkes, all right? You don't need a billion tchotchkes, but she had them all. So we get freshened up, we go out, we hit the train, and we were on these trains, and they were like from the 60s, which was kind of a throwback. It was super cool to me. How many giraffes? Oh, she had to have at least 4. She had the little like standing ones. She had the ones that are standalone statues, and she had little statuettes. Oh, trust me, honey. She had lions, elephants, any animal you could find on the African savannah, she had. Black figurines. She had a black Jesus. Oh, honey. Oh, honey. I couldn't even. Oh, I was making fun of her decorating skills in her house. All right. While she was, like in the kitchen. I didn't give a fuck. I'm a mean bitch, y'all. So leave Mattapan, go out, and Mattapan's the neighborhood that we were in. And we go to Boston proper. And honey, if I tell you the place we went to eat made up for all that shit. We went to this place called the Smoke Shop. It's run by this like barbecue like pit master. The guy's won awards. He's like famous chef. I forget what his name is now. But you can go to the Smoke Shop in Boston, right? Just type it in into Google. And oh my God, they had the best barbecue I have ever had in my life. Their meats were amazing. He had burnt ends, that's pork belly, and pulled pork. And I had brisket and smoked sausage. And honey, ooh, Lord, good God, that food was good. And I think the Vidalia, the mashed potatoes with Vidalia gravy, onion gravy, which was good. I had, excuse me, the coleslaw was very good. In fact, they make coleslaw just the way I like it. Not too much sauce, finely cut slaw, everything. So that was perfect. I liked my sides. Cookie was said his sides were and I had a little bit of his cornbread because he had ordered mac and cheese too, and and it was the cornbread was pretty. I mean, I make better cornbread, right? The key to good cornbread is you should use a little cream corn in the mix. That helps keeps it nice and soft and gives a nice corny flavor. But that's a secret from me to y'all. Don't tell nobody I told you. But oh my God, was that food? I mean, that was the best part. He said it was the best barbecue he's ever had. That's the best barbecue I've ever had, and I've eaten a lot of barbecue. Trust. So if you're in Boston, it's on the more expensive side, but you've got to go to the Smoke Shop. He doesn't know it yet because I don't know if he'll ever watch this video. But what do you think he's getting for either Christmas or his birthday next year? Like shit. Um, Great. I mean, amazing, amazing. That's the place. Like, if I can get my parents to go to Boston, that's probably the place where we'll all have dinner. Because oh my God, like I could rave about the Smoke Shop day in day out for the rest of my life. Um, so our plan was to eat, and the fact that we had the most amazing barbecue ever, that was really redemption right there. And we walked around at night and everything was clean and, people smiled and it was very nice. And, I never feel insecure at night with him because he is so tall. Like people would just not fuck with you seeing a man that big with you. Right. Um, wasn't super late either. It must have been maybe 8:30. Like the sun had gone down, but it wasn't like super late. Maybe 9. Not even 9. But so we got out of the Smoke Shop after inquiring to see if they sell their sauces because he really liked their sauces and their sauces are amazing, right? Um, I guess they've changed they're relatively recent open and they've changed their sauce policy. And like they opened really recently because the guy told me that they literally printed the menus not like a minute beforehand and they didn't have the roast chicken, which is what I really wanted. But there's plenty of stuff on the menu for me to go back to. I'm going to make sure we go back on a day where I can get ribs. Oh, honey child. Like I told my mom I think about that barbecue sometimes more than I think about Cookie. God damn. Woo, it's making me wet thinking about it now. Anyways, let me stop. Um, like I said, we're still on the day with the Rick and Morty, so it's going to be up there for a second. So here, I'll go back to the actual picture of it. So that's in front of his computer, his rig. And so we were going to go to this place called R4Cade, which is basically like an adult arcade type place. And we couldn't find it because it's actually inside of a restaurant, right? So there's the restaurant portion and then behind it is R4Cade. So once we finally found it, we go in and the guy cars us at the door. Mind you, my ID had been stolen like a day, 2 days before I was actually like I think it was stolen like Thursday. They took it like Thursday, and then I went Friday to get it done or something like that. So like not even a week before the trip happened. So Mind you, I've been buying cigarettes, I've been buying liquor, nobody's carded me yet. So this guy carded, and he's like, oh, well, sorry guys. I'm looking like, you look at him and you look at me and you're telling me that you think I'm underage. Like, I wasn't even going to order alcohol, right? And so I was a little upset. So, I mean, and I looked at this guy and he looked like straight up LMAO, like 2009 called, and they really want that whole lifestyle you living back. Honey child, fake LMAO guy, we died laughing about that, right? And honestly, I'm really glad we didn't end up getting in, because what I realized about R4K, just kind of seeing inside of it and looking at it, was that it's really more of a place for a foursome. Like, you really need 4 people minimum if you're trying to do that, and really you want like 6, right? You want to be in like a group of like 6 or 7, like at least like 2 other couples, right? So what I'm thinking is, the next time I go to Boston, what we'll do is I'll try to plan something, hit up Coherent States, because I know she's in Boston, and try to hit her up and see if her and her partner want to go out, or if anybody else is in the Boston area at the time, that we know from like the internet or whatever, who I follow, who follows me or whatever. Then we'll try to get together, and then like a whole bunch of us go. And I'm gonna slam down my ID like, you remember me, fake LMAO guy? Oh boy, we were laughing about that all night. Now, mind you, around this area, there was a lot of like MIT's labs and stuff, and it's maybe 10 by the time we kind of walk out of R4K. So we're looking in, there's all these there's one lab, and they're clearly got a lot going on, because there's like pulleys and gears and big tubs and all kinds of shit. So we're just kind of interested in that, and I see that there's a lab that's kind of in a basement area that's still, with the lights are on. There's a guy in there, so we're peering in and seeing what the guy's doing, because he's clearly doing some math that's far beyond my fucking old can't get past algebra 2 ass. And the guy looks back at us with such surprise and disdain, and I'm like, Jesus, dude, how you gonna down my intellectual curiosity? Does nobody want your cheap ass MacBook Pro? Like, get the fuck out of here. Oh my god, it was great. It was he just the way he looked at us was worth everything that night. And so we had this idea that we were going to start this YouTube show called Loud in the Lab with Coherent States, right? So we're going to be like the science hype man. She's going to show you how to do some experiments and show you what she's working on. Meanwhile, we're going to both be in like hazmat suits going, "Yeah, boy, this is that sodium nitrate, bitch." I still love my idea for Loud in the Lab. So Loud in the Lab with Coherent States is going to be a thing. So we were dying laughing about that all the way back to the train station. Get to the train, going back to Mattapan, and kind of joking with each other about Big Mama and her rules and shit, and you know. And because she basically double booked the room, we were like, "Oh, we're gonna have a place to sleep when we get back." Like, fuck. And just joking about that or whatever. Get on the train, and he's got his arm around me, and it's very romantical, and we kissed a little bit, and da 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 da. And we're on the train, and I actually tweeted about this a little bit. And the conductor is coming through so loud. I mean, I don't it's like she turned the volume all the way up. I'm glad I wasn't drunk, because every word would have pierced into my brain. I mean, it was so like, I can't even explain to you how loud it was. Just imagine, that feeling when you switch to a song, you forget that the song is like louder than other songs, right? And you switch to a song in a playlist, your headphones are all the way up, and you just that shock of how loud it is, right? That burst into your ears, and that shock you feel. That's exactly how we felt every time she would, announce the stop. So we were giggling about it, but it was really, in truth, like, I'm going to go deaf behind that woman. And then she'd come over the intercom, and at first we heard a few noises, da da da. Hey, slip of the button, you hold on to the intercom button, maybe you fuck up, it's fine, right? But then we heard her seductively say, "Ooh, you like that? Yeah, you like that, huh?" And I'm thinking, like, what the hell is going on here? So in my mind, she's working her sex worker job, all right, while she's train conducting. So I shout out to you, train conductor lady. Um, Shout out to you, train conductor lady, for working two jobs at the same time. I could not even. So on the way with the loud conductor, people around, they got their headphones on. They could tell people were like irritated by it because their ears were bleeding and stuff. Like the poor people. Like there was a lady around, and she had her ears covered. Like at first we thought, oh, she's on the phone, but then we realized she wasn't. She was going deaf. All right. And we looked around when she was saying weird sexual shit. We looked around and was like, everybody else hears this. Like, I'm not imagining this, right? Because I felt like I was losing it and I was just imagining it, but it wasn't. So Cookie's got his arm around me. We're showing it, all types of affection. And okay, let me tell you this too. I'm an affectionate person when I have a partner, but when I don't have a partner, I feel like fuck the world. So we were those people that we would have spat at, like, well, maybe not we, I would have spat um, at any other time in my life, but we were those people. So it felt good to be that couple, right? So he's got his arm around me, we're chill or whatever. And the next thing I know, this guy in front of us, African American guy, he's maybe 40. I think he said he was like 50, 55. Was like, yeah, brother, you know what it is. You got yourself a good woman there, right? And that became our introduction to Paris. Ooh, Paris. Paris is someone, shout out to Paris. All right. Shout out to him. If he ever sees this, like, we're gonna find him one day. Paris near Ashmount. We're gonna find you, bruh. Because he was talking to us the whole time about our relationship and what, and when you got your good woman, you got to hold on to that, hold on to love, brother, and all that shit. We were just like, yeah. And we were dying laughing because he pulled out like a fifth of fucking, like, what is it? Like a fifth of Cuddy water and was just like downing it on the train, right? And that's perfect. That's how you live your life. I even told Cookie, like, yeah, that's how you live your life. So he was jovial and talking to us, and we were like that. The weird thing to me though was that he introduced himself to Cookie and not to me. And I'm just like, okay, whatever, brother. So he proceeds to tell us about his love life and how he's married to this white lady and she's real great. And, she can't cook, but he can. And da 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 da. And I was telling him how I wanted to cook for Cookie while I was there and stuff, and how we both can cook and da da da. And he was like, yeah, my white wife, I be buying fancy shit from the Whole Foods for my white wife, and my sisters really don't like it. And we were just dying. Like, Paris is amazing. So we've also come up with a new YouTube show that will be premiering at some point called Paris and His White Wife. Oh man, we even wrote the theme song. One day I'll have to do I swear to God, I wish I gotten a picture of him. And if I ever see this man again, which I probably never will, if I do, I'm getting a picture of him because there's definitely going to be the YouTube series Paris and His White Wife. So, we we had that fucking train ride. And like I said, interacting with Paris made it a little easier because God, that not the train lady was so loud. The conductor was so loud. And eventually her weird sexual shit kind of stopped, right? Because I guess she realized that she was hitting the intercom button and not the push to talk button on her Skype. Whatever. And so he got off at the same stop as us and wished us good fortune and all that good shit. And we were just dying. Like, we were outside that train station dying, dude. Like, laughing our ass off. Paris and his white wife. We were just going for it. We get a lift to go back to Big Mama's house. And the whole while, I can tell he's a little tense and I'm a little tense because do we really want to go back to Big Mama's house? I'm live streaming. What? Uh-oh. Yeah, Sam was gonna watch. See, Sam likes Loud in the Lab, and see, we already got a viewer for Loud in the Lab and Paris and his white wife. See, boom. But I told you, YouTube, honey, these gonna be million view videos. Once y'all meet Paris, you gonna know. All right. So we went back to Big Mama's house, smoked a cigarette outside, and he asked me kind of point blank, he's like, do you want to stay here? And I told him, and again, I didn't want to, he'd spent money on the place. I didn't want to I didn't want him to feel like I felt some type of way about it, so I was just like, "Baby, like I said, I go with you." And he's like, "No, what do you really think?" I was like, "I'm getting the fuck out of here." Right. And he's like, "Yeah, I think we should." We'll stay tonight and maybe, we'll see what tomorrow's like and play it by ear, but I think we should. So, I agree. We went back upstairs and, you know, we watched and so mind you, we watched some TV, and one thing we do like to do is we neither one of us owns a television like that. So, we certainly don't have like cable. We have cable internet, and there are shows I still watch kind of out of habit online, but I don't, we don't have TV, so whatever. So we like to watch TV to see what's kind of going on. And it was nice. I saw some political ads. Who's here now? Hi, Viserion. I know I missed you guys too. That's why I'm live streaming. Don't worry, videos to come. I got all kinds of shit I got to do. Just trying to get reacclimated to real life. But for now, you're gonna hear about my trip to Boston. So I don't know if you were here before, but we're now at about day. I think we covered Wednesday. Um, Now we're at Thursday night. Hold on 2 seconds, you guys. Just a Anyway, sorry, small interruption. It's all good. So we get back to the Big Mama's house, talk it over, and we decide to go upstairs. We get tired, watch a little Naked and Afraid, enjoy each other's company. And don't worry, I'm gonna tell you, don't worry, you're gonna hear about the sexy shit. And so, dog, I love you. Thank you. So we were watching Naked and Afraid because it was the only thing that was on. We must have watched it for like 2 hours. It was the only thing on television um, to watch. And it was actually nice to see some TV because I got to see some of the political tack ads for a different place. And that was, Massachusetts. And a lot of people in at least Elizabeth Warren's opponents in Massachusetts are convinced that she's going to run for president, which is interesting. I think she's got a shot at it. But the political ads were just as kind of wacky as they normally are, and it was, it was really funny. But we watched Naked and Afraid the whole time because that was the only thing worth watching. And so one thing that I wanted to make sure, like, I wanted Big Mama to remember that we were there. So I made sure we were like loud when we were fucking, and like I want little Peanut to learn about sex. Like this was gonna be the time he was gonna learn what it meant to be a man, right? Because he's right next door to us, right? So I made sure to moan extra loud and shit. I wanted little Peanut to learn about the birds and bees that night. Um, And I wanted to make sure we splooged everywhere. Like, I made sure he came on the sheets. I made sure I just fucking rubbed myself on the sheets. Like, I wanted to make sure, Big Mama wasn't going to get away with perturbing me or my baby. So it was bad. You damn right. My cum juice is still on them damn sheets. She'll never get it out. She lucky I wasn't bleeding. I would have made sure to bled on her sheets. So, we fucked her, whatever. And, we watched Naked and Afraid. Um, at some point, we fell asleep. Woke up, I think probably one of the earliest we've woken up in like the whole time I was fucking there. Woke up and did we have sex? I can't even remember. We may have. I was trying to make sure we did it 18 times for all the months that we missed together. So I don't think we made it to 18, but we probably did. We probably did. And then we turned on TV and watched Naked and Afraid because it was still the only thing on TV. No, we watched a little bit of the History Channel. We watched Ancient Aliens in the morning because that was all that was on, because even Naked and Afraid wasn't on. So we watched Ancient Aliens because that was literally the only other thing on. And because there wasn't like any good daytime TV, nothing. It was just straight up, just utter bullshit that you wouldn't even watch. Like I even watched a little bit of C-SPAN because at least that was halfway interesting. So we fucked and made sure again to just make sure to splooge all over her shit. And I know we were up maybe at 9:30, 10 o'clock. We packed, you know, um, I hadn't even really unpacked, even though I knew like the plan was to have stayed there the rest of the time I was there. I didn't even really unpack like that, honey. I didn't put anything in the bathroom, like nope. And so, went out to smoke a cigarette, and he's like, "We're going. Let's just pack the shit. Let's go. Right? We'll just go back to my flat and deal with it from there." I'm like, "All right, baby, whatever you want. I'm down with that." Um, and so as we're coming down the stairs to smoke the cigarette to come to this decision, we see the dogs, and the dogs are happy to see me. Hey, buddy. I got to see my hey, buddy. I didn't want to tell Bismarck. I couldn't tell my dog about that part. He's over here listening to it. I want to tell him because I don't want him to get jealous. He's a jealous little boy. But they were happy to see me. I was happy to see them. They were outside with us, and and we petted them up and all that good shit. But Big Mama said to us, "Oh, hi, how you guys doing? Good, and she said, "Oh, you missed breakfast." She said first, "Oh, I made breakfast. You guys missed breakfast though." And we're like, "Oh, that's fine." And she's like, "Oh, would you like some coffee?" I said, "Oh, sure, yeah, I'll make a cup of coffee." And she's like, "No, no, no, I'll make it for you." And that was the last straw for me, right? I'm grown. I can make coffee without fucking up your whole kitchen, and you don't know how strong I want my coffee, so I'm gonna need you to just back up, lady. Like, as of course, still in the same nightgown, like I couldn't even, right? That's how we knew it was time to go. So we packed our shit really quickly. Anything we took, I just threw back in. And if I left something at Big Mama's house, I could give a fuck. And left the keys in the door per her fucking Nazi-esque instructions, and we was out the door. Honey, when I tell you that we got halfway down the street, all right, before Big Mama come out in a negligee, "Oh, you guys leaving?" Like, "Yeah, we had a family emergency. We've got to head back. We'll, keep the cash. We'll be in touch, right?" And she's like, "Oh, you sure?" I'm like, "We had a family emergency. We were out." So yeah, yes, Sam. Now we were finally allowed to eat in a room. How nice for us, right? And I mean, we got all the way down to the end of the block where Big Mama could not have possibly seen us. And I was joking the whole time. I was like, "Oh, you see that dude in that car? Big Mama spy." Right. And we kissed. And he was clearly less tense and pensive about the shit or whatever, which made me feel better. Made me feel better about the situation. So we, hopped in a lift. Lyft driver helps with our shit, hopped in the lift, and we was up out of there. So after we got back kind of settled into his flat, we went to, that's the Atlantic Ocean, by the way. We went down into downtown Boston because we were going to the aquarium. Yay. So we were going to see some of downtown Boston. I didn't take a lot of pictures of downtown because I was more obsessed with like getting some Starbucks. Is this isn't that day, but the thing that I wanted to really get into happened that night. So we'll do that later. So guess what? I told y'all you're gonna hear about my sexual exploits. This is not safe for work. So this picture of the Atlantic Ocean. There is the ship called, I believe it was, that's the plan A. And I was like, if that's plan A, what's plan B? And he's Great Pirate Solomon. So I was like, so we gonna hijack this motherfucker or what? And I never, we went down to the harbor because I'd never seen the Atlantic Ocean. I live by the Pacific, but I've never, even though I've been to Virginia, DC and stuff, I've never seen the Atlantic Ocean. So it was nice. It was really pretty. And I swore I thought I could see England from there. I can see England from the shore. That's a church, but I forget what church it is. I really should have. And here's a tip, guys. Even if you don't have, if you're going on a trip, turn on your geotagging. Do that for your photos. Turn your geotagging on, because I may have known what this was had I known. I showed these pictures to a friend of mine. He was like, "Hey, zoom in on that white girl booty." I'm like, you know what? You are a sick man. I didn't take any pictures at the aquarium. This is literally the extent of the day that I took pictures, right? We went to the aquarium, so I think the New England Aquarium. And it was gorgeous. There were so many different species of fish. I saw a hammerhead shark. They had a giant sea turtle. Like, they had this big enclosure where they all lived together. And it was so nice. Like, right, good you have your headphones on, honey, because you're going to hear some shit. You're going to hear some real adult shit fucking around with me today. Okay. And Cookie gonna be mad I told the story, and I can't tell no lies, baby boy. So went, kind of milled around downtown Boston, and then we went to the aquarium. And like I said, just beautiful. They had a giant octopus from the West Coast. They had so many like bioluminescent fish. I was upset they didn't have like the blue ringed octopus, which is the most poisonous, but he's also bioluminescent. But it was all good. We saw all kinds of fish. It was so cool, right? Like, and I got into a fight with one of them because one of them swam right up to the enclosure and was just staring at me like, what you want a piece of me, Negro? And I was like, you want a piece of me, bruh? So I was cussing his ass out to the enclosure. We got to one of the enclosures though, and we had been kind of, when you're at a place like a museum or a aquarium or something like that, what ends up happening is, you sort of straggle around the same group of people who are going about the same pace as you. Okay. So we were kind of straggled by this Asian family who they were totally adorable, right? But the poor little boy, like he was real energetic and his mom was just trying to leash him. And I'm like, don't do that. Oh, I didn't tell him. I forgot to tell him about the guy who gave us the deal. I don't want to knock dude's hustle, but he pulled us aside because I'm black. And he said, listen, I can get you guys in here for like I think it was like 65 or whatever to get in, right? So I can get you guys in 40, just meet me at the bathrooms, right? And I had to take a shit. So I was like, you deal with this Cookie. And he did, boys. And I got my little hand stamp and I was like, see, love this Boston hustle. So shout out to you, dude. You probably will lose your job because of this video, but shout out to you. So we, had a great time at the aquarium, but this little girl ran up to this enclosure, this Asian family who we kind of been in sort of the group, not in a group with, but they were going about the same pace as us into the same exhibit. So we ended up at a lot of the same places. And she straight up said what I was thinking was like, no, I want to stay here. I want to see a murder. I want to see somebody get killed. And I was like, yes. That, and I listen, her mom had math puzzles for the whole family in her hand, knowing she's fucking quizzing those poor kids, right? Like while they're on vacation. And I was like, I'm gonna snatch this baby from you. I'm gonna raise this baby because this baby got my bloodlust. All right. The whole time I wanted to see some shit. Oh, I touched a shark. Yep. They have the touch a manta ray, touch a shark. And they're sort of like slimy leather. It's the smoothness of leather, but with sort of, it isn't slimy, but it almost has the feel like the slipperiness of it being slimy. It was really cool. And they were like leopard skinned manta rays, right? I thought that was so boss. But the leopard skin ones were like chill and real close to the bottom of the tank. Like they didn't want to be touched. The whole time I was there, it was just like little kids. And I was just like, oh, if one of these little kids get bit, I'm gonna laugh so hard. Like they're gonna have to escort me out. And they had the little baby pup sharks. Oh my God. It was so adorable. They even had the eggs on display with like the embryo. You could see the embryos inside of them and they were about to hatch. In fact, I think they're going to hatch like on October 11th, the day before my birthday. So I thought that was super cool. Great. I mean, awesome aquarium. If you guys are in Boston, definitely check it out because New England Aquarium is super awesome, right? Like I said, I saw hammerhead shark, giant sea turtle, saw a lot of giant fish, right? And a lot of people, they didn't quite see them at first, and they didn't move a lot, but then you'd see them and I was like, oh no, look back there. You can see the big motherfucker. And they were huge, right? They had coral reef exhibits. Like it was really cool. When we got out of the museum, it was raining like shit. But it wasn't too horrible, but it was raining. And so we left. We sort of milled around for a while, looking for maybe some place to duck into to eat. Or I thought we were looking for a place to eat, but it wasn't that. We were actually milling around to see the sights or whatever. And we went to their Chinatown, which was super cool. That wasn't maybe which Primark. And then we went back to his town and went to this place called Dumpling Kitchen, which is by his house. Oh God, those were the best pork buns I ever had in my life. They're stingy with the sauce. And my whole thing would have been, listen, I'll give you an extra $10. Can I get some sauce though? They're stingy with the sauce, which ties it all together, but oh my God, it was worth every penny. Those fucking pork buns, those dumplings were amazing. Like, one thing I love about Cookie is that he has a great taste in food and I love to eat. So the fact that he has such a good taste in food and dragged me to some of the best places, like I was so jazzed about that. So I love him because fat girl like to eat. Anywho, so Dumpling Kitchen was great. So we went back that night, and I don't know if we watched Star Trek that night. I think I just threw on like MST3K. We may have was that the night we watched Star Wars? That was the night we watched Star Wars, The Last Jedi, because we were commenting on how people, they didn't like the humor in it, or they didn't like this version of expectations, or they didn't like that Rey was nobody, and we were talking about how we really liked those elements and and we totally fucked to Star Wars. I mean, that totally happened. And not only did that happen, but if it's Friday night going into Saturday, here is what happened. So midway through, right? Mind you, I'm gonna tell y'all a little secret. Y'all shouldn't know this. Cookie gonna be mad I said it. We giggle through sex. It's bad. Like, we're calling ourselves the coital comedians because we be dying laughing during sex. My nigga. So you know that point where it starts to feel real good? It started to feel real good. And I may have eked out, oh, baby, come inside of me, right? Now, you would think a rational thinking person would be like, oh, she just wants that, but I'm not going to do it. Not this motherfucker. He does it, right? Okay. So that was bad, right? So I said, okay, we'll get a plan B in the morning. Right? But it was worth it. It was worth every penny, right? And you know what? Then if we do have a baby, then I will be able to say, you know what, baby, you were conceived during Star Wars, and that is how you nerd. So woke up the next morning, flip it out, like I got to get a fucking plan B, yo. Like fucking, I thought I would start my period while I was there. That did not happen. So we got to get plan B. So the next day we had a really big day. All right. And this is probably where the majority of the pictures I took. Right. The next day we went to, now I forget what the name of the hall is called, but that's the hall where the founders met in Boston. So that's like super famous. And on the other side, there's a whole bunch of like street performers and stuff because it's a big touristy area or whatever. So we went basically to downtown Boston and basically did the Freedom Trail without doing the Freedom Trail because I hate guided tours. Ooh, honey, when I tell you we walked the gangbusters, and again, and I wore the wrong shoes. I wore my moccasins, which were okay and pretty comfortable. But oh my god! But we probably did the most this day. Like we went through downtown, through the Freedom Trail, saw the square where the founders met. Hold on. I'm in the wrong window here. We saw the square where the founders met right here. Took a billion pictures of it apparently. This is the hold on, zoom in a little bit. This is the picture. This is the statue of John Adams, who helped to organize the revolution. Da 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 da. That's who the beer is named after, Sam Adams. Everywhere you go, you can get Sam Adams in Boston. Here's a full, yeah, here's a nice, like I said, I took a whole bunch for safety, like a tourist. But my whole philosophy too, when taking pictures, when you're in some place different, is you're not the subject, right? You know what you look like, right? So it's one thing to take selfies, blah, blah, blah. But, when you're taking pictures that, other people are going to see, you should really not be the subject of those pictures. The subject of the picture is the thing you're taking a picture of. We went to the Boston Massacre site, which is someplace I really wanted to go because I heard about Crispus Attucks growing up, and Dad really wanted pictures too. So I made sure we took plenty of pictures of the sign at the Boston Massacre site. It gives you a little info about this is the actual street it took place on. Right, Paul Revere took an engraving of the scene. Here's a picture from it from across the street. That's the actual meeting house where it took place in front of. Right, took a whole bunch for safety. This is the actual place where the men fell, and the actual picture of the site. I have one that's kind of turned around, yeah, so you can see the site of the Boston Massacre. These are the Minutemen that are outside of the. They're actually not Minutemen. They're Her Majesty's soldiers, because the building behind them is the Boston Massacre Museum, right? And it has a bunch of the founding father stuff and some military stuff from that era. I didn't want to be in any of the pictures. So I've got a bunch of pictures of like random white folks, but like, I got this one of them. I love that one of them. And they were standing together and I thought that was so adorable. So that's probably like the album cover of this trip is those two standing together. And I love it because the alt-right is going to piss a bitch when they find out that they had a black guy out there as one of Her Majesty's soldiers. Like, it's going to be great. This is, I believe is the old State House, if not the old City Hall. And yeah, this is old City Hall. And because guys, this is why I tell you need to turn on geotagging when you go someplace. Yeah, oh, definitely, honey. If you come to the States, come to Boston. A lot of European tourists come there because it's a shorter flight, and honestly, it's less expensive than coming to California. It's totally worth it, and there's so much more history, and there's so much more that you can do. Like, there's so many more sites that you can basically see for free. Um, that yeah, it's totally worth the trip. They have a lot of attractions and amusements and stuff that'll keep you busy. A lot of places to drink, a lot of places to eat, a lot of places to shop. Like we didn't even go. Like I wanted to go to the Funko Pop store, but we didn't even like do that. But like I said, if you're really talking about visiting the States, Boston's a really nice place to visit. Um, I didn't tell you guys about the weather. It was humid. It was hot and it was humid. And this day is and if you can tell from the pictures, you can see it was bright and it was like, sunny out. And honey, it rained that day, something fierce. That's the Democratic donkey. That's outside of the old State House. That's the base of the Benjamin Franklin. Here, I'll get closer to that. That's the base of the Benjamin Franklin. He was born in Boston, died in Philly. This is his commemorative statue. Hold on. This is going to go into the next one. And there's the engraving on the statue of him in his printing press, I think as a printer's apprentice. And then here's the actual statue. All the statues are beautiful, and there's a lot of detailing. And all around the city of Boston, everywhere you go, there are statues of famous Bostonians. So if you're broke, that you can always like do a statue tour. Like it's totally worth it. I got a lot of statues of Ben Franklin. The King's Chapel, which is I believe the oldest church in Boston, is right by the old State House. I didn't take a big picture of it. That is the Omni Parker Hotel. The Omni Corporation bought it in the last, I think, probably in my lifetime. But Parker House is where they invented the Boston cream pie. And Cookie was like, "Oh, do you want to go over there?" And I was like, "Nah." I tell you why too. It's a tourist trap. And one thing that people do is I found this out from Kitchen Nightmares. There are a lot of institutions that they invent something like the apple pie, they'll invent, the banana split or whatever, and then they never change it. And their reasoning for never changing it is, well, we want to present to you the original that people would have had in the 18th century. But in reality, the palates of people from the 18th and 19th century are way different from our palates. And typically, a lot of places do not do, their signature dish well, especially when it's 100 and some odd years old. So there's King's Chapel, founded in 1698. That's a commemorative plaque. Okay, so next to King's Chapel and also across the street, like about a block up and then across the street, is the cemetery that contains a lot of people who were seminal to the revolution. So this is Samuel Adams' headstone. And I thought it was so fucked up. And, people throw cash to him for good luck. Thought it was so fucked up too because everybody was crowded around fucking like John Hancock's fucking monument. But you go over to nobody gave a shit about Sam Adams, and he helped, and he really was like, he was the governor of the Commonwealth. He really was an institution in terms of like planning the revolution. And it's just like, fuck Sam Adams, nigga. Isn't that nigga with the beer? This is the thing probably my dad let me go to Boston for. He really wanted was the picture of the remains of the picture of the grave of the remains of the individuals who died in the Boston Massacre, Crispus Attucks being a black man. And they were only placed here in 1906. Crispus Attucks, because he was black, was buried separately from the rest, and then they were buried at other places. And so they finally, in the 20th century, I'm sorry, got them all together and buried there and exhumed them and buried them here. So these are just more pictures of the grave. These are head-on pictures. So, ordered by the city of Boston. Da da da. here is the monument to Franklin. Did I miss anything? No, here's the monument to Benjamin Franklin. I don't think he's buried in Philadelphia. He's not buried here in Boston. I took a picture. This guy is kind of a, this was a basically a nobody. It's just a guy who got it. But I took a picture because I love the headstones. A lot of the headstones are like this. They're skulls with wings. The explanation given was that it was a reminder to the living of the fact that your soul will at some point perish and will go on to God, right? But I thought, oh, I love these fucking emo headstones. Like, that's what I want my headstone to look like. Because now we have, angels, or we don't have any adornment like that. And these are like super cool and gothy and emo. And he's like, that's my gothic baby. Shut up. I was far away and I didn't feel like pushing through all the fucking people you see in front of it to see it. But this is the monument on top of the grave of of John Hancock, which you clearly read. Very ornate. Hancock helped to finance the revolution, and if you don't, everyone knows John Hancock because he's the one who fucking has the biggest signature on the Declaration, right? So John the Cock Hancock, boy. And I believe, I can't remember if it's the old State House. I think it's the old State House that he donated that used to basically be his house, and he donated the land to build the State House. And so here is their State House. Beautiful building up close, absolutely gorgeous building. So it's actually super close to, so all these things are really close together. So they're all in walking distance of one another. The State House is right in front of the Boston Common, which is a public park, probably one of the oldest public parks in the United States. Commemorated, I believe, in 1630, but the commemoration statue is coming up. So those are just more pictures of the Common. Like I said, absolutely gorgeous. I forget if it's Franklin or Adams outside of it. So the same day we went up to the African American Museum, or the Museum of African American History in Boston, and we saw the Frederick Douglass exhibit. Now, you weren't allowed to take any photographs inside of the exhibit, but I did take a picture of the African Meeting House, which is where Black people used to get together and fraternize during the 16th, 17th, the 17th, 18th century. And at the time, we couldn't go in because there was a wedding being hosted there. And I thought, yeah, I'd have a wedding here. The issue, though, is parking. The streets where the African American Museum are so narrow that you couldn't park there if you wanted to. We could barely walk down the street. Like, we could barely share the street with a car. Like, if you can see a little bit, there are these old brick like roads. It's amazing. I should have taken more pictures of that. This is General Sherman leading a troop of African Americans. This is a statue right outside of the Commons. He's leading African American soldiers during the Civil War. This is the picture of the commemoration of the Commons. So yeah, 1634. This land was given over to the city of Boston in order to create, really for the purposes of feeding cattle, and ended up becoming a beautiful public park. I didn't actually take a lot of pictures of the park or the Boston Gardens, which are attached. This is an impression. This is kind of the big one. I think I got a closer up one that I'll zoom into. You see the eagle on top, the adornment. Beautiful, beautiful. This is the 3D impression of the Declaration of Independence and the signing of the Declaration, which happened in Boston, right? So of course they're super proud, right? This is the monument to those who died at the Boston Massacre. You see all their names: Crispus Attucks, John Maynard, James Caldwell, Samuel Gray, Patrick Carr. I believe that is not, I don't know if that's Columbia or not. Typically, Columbia isn't portrayed with her breast out. She's more like Marianne from France, right? Marianne is the depiction of the French state. And that was the kind of up close. And then they have a 3D impression. I think I got a closer up picture of it. Yeah, they have a 3D impression of the massacre. And it actually is three-dimensional. You see his little hand, like right here. You can actually touch his little hand. And they have the quote from John Adams. This is in the Boston. That's in the Commons. This is in the Public Garden. This is Wendell Phillips, who advocated for the end of slavery. But I thought, prophet of liberty, champion of the slave. And I thought, you niggas, you built this thing before the 1800s. I mean, after 1800s, my nigga. I don't appreciate prophet of the slave, all right? I'm a Black person. Just get with it. Oh, well, I'm glad to have taught to teach you a little something about American history, honey. Because trust me, when it comes to like the history of the statues and stuff, like I can tell you about the Declaration, I can tell you about like the big events in American history, but it was really Cookie who taught me about the history of each statue and when they were built and whatnot. Like he's a perfect tour guide. He actually does a series on his channel. I think it's Wanderer's Guide to the Commons, I want to say. I'll get the link where he does go around Boston because Fallout 4 takes place in Boston after the events of Fallout. So he goes around as sort of a person who's gone back in time to see Boston kind of in present day, and he talks about all the statues and all the history of it. Like, so I'll definitely link that below, and you can check it out. Because he does a really he's really a great tour. Like he in some ways he missed his calling because he has such a pleasant voice and he's so adorable, and he missed his calling because he'd make an excellent tour guide. This is Charles Sumner. I did the reason we didn't go back to Harvard Square was because I took this picture. Charles Sumner is everywhere in Boston, and Charles Sumner was a U.S. senator who advocated for the end of slavery for the United States as well as Massachusetts. And it was Charles Sumner was part of one of the most famous events to ever happen in the U.S. Congress. After a speech in which he advocated for the rights of African Americans for not only their emancipation but the enfranchisement of African Americans after, he was beat by one of his colleagues with a cane on the floor of Congress. And so Charles Sumner, you know, when you take an ass whooping for black people, that's how you know. Like if you give an ass whooping to a racist person or you take an ass whooping from a racist person, you immediately like you up there in black history. So Charles Sumner to me has always been kind of a hero. So I was so happy to have seen a statue here and that we didn't have to go back to Harvard. We went to Harvard bookstore and I bought something so I could be like, yeah, I went to Harvard bookstore. This is in the public gardens. They weren't as lush as I would have liked them to be, but they were beautiful. That's George Washington on the back of his horse. And man, do they love George Washington equestrian shit. Everything is him and his fucking horse. And it's like, ooh, honey, was he sticking it to the horse? So yeah, it's him. I thought I took one a bit more close up, but yeah, you can zoom in a bit on this and you can get some of the details. This was really like, and you can see where the day went from being super bright outside to like it got cloudy. And then right after this, it rained like shit. We saw 7 or 8 wedding parties while we were there, right? Oh, thank you, Sam. I appreciate that. I try to narrate well. Um, my job is to entertain y'all, so I really appreciate that. Um, we saw a solid 7 or 8 wedding parties while we were there. Like there were so many people getting married at the Boston Common that day that we passed by a group of people who did not know what wedding party they were in and could not figure it out because there were so many. We passed a woman when we were going to the Common. We passed a woman who I think was probably getting married at the State House. There was a wedding at the Africa House. There was a woman who was probably getting married at the State House because it was too far from the Africa House. She had her heels on and stuff. She was fully done up, so likely she wasn't going all the way down the street for that. There was a person who there when we first got to the Commons, there was someone getting married. There was another wedding party there, then then a fifth wedding party. I think we saw at least 6 wedding parties. And I say seven because as we were leaving the Commons, we saw another wedding party. Sorry, said I'm getting married. I'm either getting married at the Commons or because it's gonna be too expensive to have a friggin' wedding here, so I'm either getting married at the Commons or I want to get married at the Africa House. This picture, this fucking statue was just, this is child porn. And I was like, see, the people of the city of Boston are vulgar, right? I want you to look too. You see this? Look at this path. No fucking trash anywhere, dude. Clean. Look at how clean the water is. Clean as shit everywhere you go. I thought the statue was vulgar as hell. Hey, wholesome punk, how you doing, baby? I thought this statue was just some kid happily riding another kid. Like, oh god, that's weird. I didn't get a picture of the frog pond. They have this cute. There is a famous children's story based on the Boston Common that takes place in the Common. So they have a bunch of like little duck statues and stuff like that devoted to the story. And one thing they have is this frog pond, which is sort of a nice little wading pool. It's really big too. And it's super like it was humid outside and it was hot. So it was so nice to put your feet in the cool water. Like I got in the water. I didn't get in the water. I just was like ankle deep in it. And I was kind of walking alongside Cookie. It was so much of a relief. And it started to rain 3 minutes later. And it rained for like 2 hours straight. I thought, oh, it's a passing shower. Normally when it's hot and humid, they're passing showers. Nope. It rained for like 2 hours straight and we were walking everywhere. This is a better picture. The Green Dragon Tavern, which was built in 1773, and it is where Samuel Adams, Paul Revere, and many individuals got together to help plan the revolution. It's super famous. But as Cookie said, it's clearly a tour trap, like the tourist trap, like you could tell, right? You could totally tell. And can you get, yeah, and here's the soldier standing outside of it. Oh my God. Oh, they had sangria. If I had known that, we would have stopped in. This is, I forget the name of this church, but the church is on Salem. And this is that steeple there is the oldest steeple in Boston. It's been, excuse me, it's been rebuilt several times because it's been damaged during storms and what have you. But this is in the North End. This is a traditionally Italian neighborhood in Boston. Mind you, any info you hear me say, I'm getting it from Cookie. Now, in the North End, what they have a lot of is restaurants, a lot of Italian places to eat, a lot of little like bodega-style places to buy stuff. All brick. We stopped it. I didn't take a picture because it was raining and I was soaked and I was tired and cold. And this man had dragged me to and I still needed a plan B and he had dragged me along, right? But we stopped by Paul Revere's house, which is in the North End. Like I said, I didn't get a picture. Next time. And the North End is really super nice. There was a guy, he was selling hot nuts and he was selling like a carny, like step right up for your hot nuts. And he knew what he was doing. He knew the entendre with the hot nuts. He didn't care, bruh. It was great. I love that guy. Let me tell you, we ate at a place, I think it's like Rositio El Alfano, which was mediocre. I would recommend you go there for drinks because the Italian coffee I had was pretty good. But don't eat there. It's not that good. There's probably way better places to eat along there. What we did do now, what's famous in the North End is Mike's Pastry. Everybody who's anybody had Mike's Pastry. And Cookie said, listen, Mike's Pastry is a tourist trap. It's famous. People know about it, so they go there. It's not that good. I'm going to take you to the place that's really good. Across the street from them, maybe a block or two down, is Modern Pastry. Whoo, honey. So we got cannoli. I got a whoopie pie. I got a Boston cream pie cupcake because I didn't want a whole Boston cream pie because we would have eaten it. I got him a strawberry shortcake, and it wasn't super expensive too. I think I got a whole bunch of confections that turned out to be like $21. So it wasn't super duper expensive. When I tell you, I got him a strawberry shortcake and a cannoli. It was the first time I ever had cannoli, right? And if you don't know, because I didn't really know what a cannoli is basically like a custard or a cream wrapped in a waffle cone, basically. And then you can add, sprinkles, or you can add pistachios and have toppings on them or what have you. Honey, I think I got one that was my cannoli was chocolate dipped. So the shell had chocolate on it, and the shell had been chocolate dipped, and then the inside was like vanilla cream, and then plain on top. Oh my God, that was the best damn dessert I ever had. And because the dinner was sort of scant, the Modern Pastry became our dessert. Oh my God, I will implore you, and I should have taken pictures, but I couldn't because I wanted to eat it. I implore you, if you go to Boston, skip Mike's. Don't go to Mike's. The line is long. It's not worth it. Go to Modern Pastry. We're trying to get Modern Pastry on the map, all right? And if it's as long a wait as Mike's, who cares? Because it's worth it. Their desserts were amazing. I'm like this. I'm about to send, like, I'm gonna get paid. I'm gonna send Cookie some money. Like, take your ass to Modern. I'll pay the shipping. Take your ass to Modern. Give me some pastry so I can, get. Because I told mom and dad, and they're like, no, we're gonna ship. We're gonna have some shipped here because I'm not playing that. right? I appreciate it, honey. I feel you. I live in a town of roughly the same, about 100,000, and it's not nearly as clean here. I've lived in several different cities in the Bay Area. I've never seen one as clean as Boston, ever. Ever. Oh my God. I could do this whole hangout about how clean everywhere we went was. Every street was so clean. Here, if I can get a picture, see if I can get a picture of like the street and zoom in. Zoom in. Just look at the streets. No, I mean, and a lot of people smoke in Boston, okay? And they have these like standing ashtrays pretty much on damn near every corner. But honey, when I tell you the streets everywhere were so god, you could have eaten off of them. And it wasn't just like, oh, it's raining, because I was there on sunny days and it was just as clean. Bird poop, dog poop, just anything, right? I didn't even see I didn't see one stray dog. We saw a stray bunny, and that was it. Anywho, I will say it again. Go to Modern Pastry. If they order, if you can get it ordered and sent to you, have them send it to you. Amazing, amazing desserts. Like I dropped my Boston cream pie. I dropped my cupcake on the floor. I licked it off the floor. I said, "Fuck him. I don't give a shit." It was so good. Oh my god. I can't do enough free advertising for those people. Oh, honey, I didn't even know what a cannoli was. So you were closer than I am because I couldn't even picture in my mind what it could possibly be. So don't worry, wholesome punk. You ain't alone, honey. But if you get a chance, if you like that kind of cream or custard and you like waffle cone, get one. You're gonna love it. You're gonna love it. Get it from a good place though, but you're gonna love it. So yeah, Boston's North End was really super cool. Chill out, like very, a lot of African Americans. Now it's kind of a good mix of African Americans. The area is gentrified a little bit. We still saw the traditional like old Italian lady smoking out of her window, and I was like, I want that to be my life. I want to be old with nowhere to go and look at disgust and look with the feelings of disgust for every human that passes my apartment. Like that's what I want my life to be like. I want to see if they let us in one of their private cigar lounges. I'd pay the $150 fee if we could fucking hang out. If I could just hang out inside and smoke, because I was trudging, right? And because Cookie will walk and he'll drag. Like I'm a walker. I walk everywhere, so it wasn't super much, but it was raining and I was cold and the food wasn't very good. Oh, so it was a trudge. Became a trudge when we were really deep in the North End, like around here, around Salem. Um, but we stopped at a little park and it was nice. We stopped at a little park and we talked and it was, really super kind of romantic and kissed, as it was. So we left the North End, we hit a train station, went back to well, no, we didn't. We walked back into downtown Boston and he says, "Baby, we gotta go to CVS." I'm like, "For what?" Because all I'm thinking about is I'm about to eat this Boston cream pie fucking cupcake. It's about to be I'm about to be popping. About to eat this cupcake and fuck my boyfriend. Da, da, da. And he's like, because we need a plan B, baby. And I'm like, oh, now you care, right? So we go to the CVS, right? I walk up in there striding in that motherfucker, right? Um, this was also that same night. So okay, this was that same night, I think. Yeah, it was that same night. Okay, so this is Saturday, right? So I'm striding up in this motherfucker. And I'm like, wait, and I didn't know where to go. Upstairs they had alcohol, which is why they had like a bouncer, right? So, he was like, go this way and there seems to be drugs that way. And he's tall, so you can see all the stupid signs or whatever. Stride back there and I'm looking and I see and I know they keep shit like that where they keep the condoms, right? So I'm looking at the condoms and shit, looking at the KY, thinking, should I get some KY while I'm here? Because it is lightweight cheaper, but nah, let me spend this $52 on plan B, right? Take my ass to the counter. I'm all jazzed. And like I said, I'm walking like I'm fucking, what's his name? Like George Jefferson, like jazzed up and shit. Take my ass to the counter, plop it on the counter. And he's like, is that all? I'm like, yup. Jazzed up and shit. Bought the shit. Go out. Now, mind you, it's packaged like a CD, right? So there's all kinds of plastic wrap in it, right? There's all kinds of like plastic around to keep people from stealing it, I guess, because it's lightweight expensive. So I chide him, right? I'm gonna laugh, I'm kind of playfully chiding him about, look, it says take as soon as possible and more effective. So he was like, okay, all right. So a guy, he was kind of, clearly guy maybe living on the street or whatever, was doing drugs right there in front of the damn Walgreens. This is like a fancy Walgreens, right? So doing drugs in front of the Walgreens, fancy Walgreens, and he comes over and he's like, "Oh, can I bum a cigarette off you guys?" Because we're kind of sitting down so I can, take this Plan B or whatever. And I said, "Yeah, sure." I think Cookie gave him one. He was like, "Yeah, sure." Cookie had given him one, and so he kind of went back over, smoking a cigarette, getting his drugs together, whatever. I start like burning open this Plan B, right? It is not, normally you burn plastic and it creates a hole. So you can just kind of rip through the hole. That didn't happen. We're both struggling with this fucking package, dying laughing, right? There's a tour group about maybe 10 to 20 feet from us, right? And I was just like, I was about to take over that tour group because it was they have a lot of these tour groups that are the guys who are dressed in, period clothing who'll take you around the streets. And I noticed that it was a guy we'd seen earlier, but he was out of his period dress. He was in his normal dress. It probably his last tour of the night. And I was like, let me tell you, ye olde tour group, about what Boston is like. Okay. It's full of shit that you want to see, with beautiful gravestones, the best and cleanest place in the world, all right, with the fanciest Walgreens on earth. And you go there and you buy Plan B because you're irresponsible with your boyfriend the night before because you're just so fucking in love with him. And then you can't even get the shit open. And there you go. That's Boston for you. He was dying. So we're struggling to get this open, and the dude we had given a cigarette to comes over and he's like, "You want to borrow my knife?" And it was like, "Thank you so much," right? He was like, "No worries," right? I was like, "That see, smokers got each other back. See, smokers know we got each other's back, right?" So Cookie finally opens it. I get it open. I take it. We're dying laughing. Da 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 da. And I throw it into my Mike's bag, which is transparent because I want everybody to see. You damn right, I fucked my boyfriend irresponsibly last night. I want everybody to know about it. So he says, maybe we got to make one more stop. We got to go to Primark. And he told me a little about Primark. I said, ooh, we had passed it the first day I was there. I was like, ooh, what is this? This is Primark. They have stuff pretty cheap. They have it in the UK. We just kind of got it here in Boston. And we don't have it here on the West Coast. So I was like, ooh. So I had been angling to go to Primark anyway. So he's like, I gotta get some towels. And I said, baby, please don't let me in this place, baby, because I like to shop. And if I go up in this Primark, I'm gonna shop. Well, too damn bad, because I was shopping. And honey, so they had so I bought two pairs of jeans for $7 and they fit great. Like they're a little big because I thought they'd be a little small on me because they were running a little less than my size, but they're actually pretty big on me. I have to get a belt, but they're both super cute, right? $7 a pair, right? It's sort of like H&M, right? Without the slave labor, so far as we know. And honey, they had all kinds, cute little t-shirts, $3, $4, shit like that. Like Primark is the business. Like, but then we went upstairs to the home department where they have the pajamas and shit. Nigga, they had a bear suit. Nigga, do you know how quick I snatched that bear suit? I was like, boy, go get them damn towels. I bought microfiber cloths. I can't find them now. I bought microfiber cloths for my electronics. I bought fucking the bear and that bear suit and some little strawberry slippers. Oh my god. And y'all see, if you see my Twitter picture, I have to go find it real quick. But if you see my Twitter picture, then like I got the bear suit, right? Like I'm in the bear suit. I fucking love that bear suit. I'm so upset. I've already stained it. Like I've already gotten like coffee on it and stuff. So I've got to spot clean it and then wash it. And I'm gonna put it on delicate and put it in there by itself. Cause honey, them balls ain't gonna stay on there forever. It's got a little tail and shit. Oh my god, it's adorable. I didn't even try it on. I just grabbed it. I grabbed all that shit and didn't even try it on. Because they were about to close. I only had 30 minutes. I was shit. And it feel like every black person in Boston worked at that damn Primark. It didn't matter though. I bought his I bought his towels and shit. Like, psh, honey child. I I had to stick him with all the stuff because I had to go to the bathroom. Ooh, honey. I didn't even stick him with all the stuff. He stuck me with the stuff. And I was like, nope, bye. And I was at that register. By the time he came out of the bathroom, I had already bought all the shit and was looking for more shit to buy. Ooh, honey. Ooh, honey. I promised myself the next time I go to Boston, I'm not going to take as much. I'm not going to buy anything new. And I'm not going to take as much. I'm going to go to Primark, right? I'm going to that Primark, honey. It's bad. And I'm pissed because I want another bear suit, but they don't sell them online. So I'm going to send Cookie's ass right back to that goddamn Primark. Buy me a new one, ship it here. You goddamn right, honey, please. And when I tell you I was in that bear suit the whole rest of the time, I wasn't playing. Like I really couldn't do it like daytime ish because it was hot and the suit was warm. But oh, it's so nice to sleep in. It's got a little hood. It's gonna be great. Like I really want to put it away because what it's gonna be nice for is like wintertime when it's cold. You wear like, you got to wear clothes underneath it, right? But it'll be nice when it's cold. And my little strawberry slippers. Oh my God. Honey child. When I got back that Tuesday, right? I got back at like midnight on Tuesday. So when I woke up that next day, I was just in my bear suit the whole time. Like the whole day I was in the bear suit. I went to McDonald's. In fact, the picture from the profile is the day I went to is from that day. I went to McDonald's. I was in that bear suit like, whoa, oh honey. And everybody comments, oh, it's so adorable. I love that. I want that. Where'd you get it? And I'm like, Primark in Boston. They don't have them out here. Which you know how much I love that. You know how much I hate having shit that other people have. And so you know how jazzed I am. People come to me and talk about my bear suit. Ooh, honey. Ooh, honey. So we went back to his flat. We ate our pastries and moaned about how good they were. So good. We enjoyed our pastries together. I got my bear suit. We watched Star Trek because it was cool, even though it was humid for all the day. It was pretty cool at night. Got my bear suit and we, laid up together and we of course we fucked. I mean, I don't even have to say that. We fucked and giggled and we just had a really good time. So, as we're getting to the close of the story, so we'll get to it. So, the next day we went to I think it's where I took the most pictures. We went to the Boston Museum of Fine Arts. Now this is basically my last full day there. This is that Sunday. And I had to take a picture of the sign because I loved it so much. All right. Now, the sign clearly says right up in here, touch each other. Please touch each other. And I'm thinking, so if I give my boyfriend a handy, you ain't gonna trip right here, right? Oh, in the interim, I think it was Saturday, we went to a bar called Five Horses, which was good. The food was pretty all right. Like I'd eat there again, but the drinks were better than the food. And the chicken fingers they give you a lot of chicken fingers and it wasn't amazing. The sauce was really good, but chicken fingers weren't great. The chicken fingers at the MFA were better, actually. The food at the MFA was good. Like we ate at the cafeteria and it was good. Um, I didn't want to eat too much because we were going to dinner with his parents, and you guys know that was nerve wracking. Because you're meeting your boyfriend's parents, you want to make a good impression. So we went to the Museum of Fine Arts, and they had an exhibition on propaganda, particularly the propaganda of like the Nazis and Soviet Union. So that was right up our alley. That's where we started, and probably we shouldn't have started there because we spent the bulk of our time there. So yeah, that's Hitler, that's the Soviet Union. And one thing to notice about the piece is how the Soviet Union is on one side while the UK and the United States are on another. In already indicating the divide, even though they were allies in the war, already indicating the divide between them, right? And you can almost see the precursor, from our future perspective, you can really see the precursors to the Cold War in that. These are Russian pieces. Anti-Hitler propaganda. So there's him as the false Santa Claus, and here's him as the king of liars. This is Italian. No. This was Brazilian. These are Brazilian pieces of war propaganda, mostly to encourage people to fight in the Second World War. That's the same one. These are more pieces. Some of these, I believe these are German. This one, the one on the farthest left, I believe is Italian. Right? These are all fascist, though. This is Italian fascist propaganda, celebrating the Opera Battaglia. This is actually a campaign postcard from before Hitler is elected. Let me see if I have any messages. Okay. This is a campaign poster from as you can see, 31, and that's before Hitler is appointed chancellor. So this is trying to get people to vote for the Nazi Party. And I believe this one is this is Spanish. I see it from the little sign. This one's from Spain. This is supporting the not fascist, but certainly right wing government of, even though you can see it has a little fascist, several arrows. The right wing government of, what's his name? Francisco Franco. And that's the same one. It might not have as much glare. Yeah, it doesn't have as much glare. So I thought that I'd never seen any of these. I certainly hadn't seen this one from 33. So I was really excited to see that one. Was Brazil supported? I believe Brazil was supporting the Allies. Check me on that, but I'm pretty sure they were in support of the Allies because they were a Portuguese colony. And a lot of former colonies and current colonies, particularly in places like Africa, were supportive of the Allied powers because that was who, they were basically adjacent to or owned by the Allied powers. These are separate. These are all separate pieces. I may have gotten it. Hold on. Maybe I got a better one. Yeah, I did because I realized that one came out kind of shaky. So this to the far left is the Great Party of Lenin Stalin, clearly a piece of propaganda supporting the Stalinist regime. I figure people would like, somewhere Tanky loves that. This is a piece of propaganda in support of course, Hitler's regime that connects him to Frederick the Great, who is the first unifier of Germany, and creates the Prussian state. And then Otto von Bismarck, who truly unifies Germany instead of having these small duchies that comprise of Prussia. Now they're one singular nation state. And of course, Mr. Mussolini. And if you look at his facial expression, you can really see how Trump copies his facial expression, because that's a very, for us, it's a very Trumpian look on his face, right? And clearly it's Viseri victory, and him decked out in his military gear. Okay. Here's more propaganda pieces. We have Lenin directing the revolution. This is after the First World War, right before the Second. This is Mussolini as a captain. I've never seen that piece before, but I thought that was pretty, again, look at the expression compared to Trump and him dressed up as a military figure, similar to the way kind of Trump wants to think of himself. This was the only piece of propaganda that they had that was American. Even though we know from that period of time, not only were we producing war propaganda against the Germans, everything from defeat the Huns to stuff like that, but we were also producing counter propaganda. So I thought it was interesting that there wasn't a lot of our propaganda in this exhibit. Right? A very fashy face he has. There you go, Sam. You know what it is. And this is of MacArthur, for whom a lot of streets and stations and things are named for in the Bay Area, because I believe MacArthur was from San Francisco. And that's just another picture I took for safety. I had never seen this piece. I might have a second one with less glare. I don't. About same. I had never seen this piece, The Standard Bearer. Dad had seen it before, but I had never. And it's Hitler kind of dressed in armor on the back of a horse. And one thing that you learn about fascist propaganda is how militaristic it is, and how oftentimes its leaders want to identify themselves as members of the military. They want to be strongly associated with the military, et cetera, et cetera. And yeah, both Hitler and Mussolini fought in the First World War. But I better check my shit because my baby's gonna call me soon. This one, there were several portraits like the next one, but I had to have this. Looking for the one with the least glare. Oh, honey, Hitler! I had never seen a photo like this of Hitler with this. Come on, bro, expression. This fucking picture to me is a million memes. This is a million memes. But there were several of them. I don't know if Cookie got all of them. They do, especially the ultra-militarism. um, Fascism is an ideology that, in terms of its economics, is heavily reliant on the military because they practice this economic principle called autarky, which means a state being effectively economically self-sufficient. And what an autarkic government or an autarkic state doesn't have, right? Because resources are distributed all around the planet, and because it is sort of anti-international trade, what it does is it uses its military to capture governments, to capture land, to capture resources that don't belong to it, to inculcate it into its economy. So yeah, you're definitely right. Militarism and fascism are very much go hand in hand, and the adoration of the military, because it is the enforcement body for fascism. It's not just the enforcement body for its economic policies, it's the enforcement body for its political principles as well, because fascism is of course is of course akin to authoritarianism. And in order to enforce either fascism or authoritarianism, which are different but have similarities, is to use a strong military. And so this is propaganda that was produced in Germany after the First World War, of England hiding under its umbrella, frightened of German air power. I had never seen such like vehemently anti-English propaganda. And here I got a better picture of the second one. Such vehement anti-English propaganda. So I thought this was super interesting. Oh, okay. So now we're moving on to the Africa section. We didn't take a lot of pictures of the weapons section, but here's where I went off. These are the Benin plaques, and I thought they were only in the British Museum because they were part of the booty that the British captured when they fought some of the tribes in the Kingdom of Benin, which is different from the country of Benin. These plaques were commissioned by the Oba, or the ruler of Benin, to depict historical events. Everything from propaganda, right, of how strong the Oba is, to the Oba's coronation and sort of everyday life, going on hunts, what have you. So, and the Oba's family as well. This was the way that the people of the Kingdom of Benin depicted their history. So, what you have here is the Oba with the staff. You have his guardsmen and children who may be soldiers, maybe his children, what have you. Similar relief, you have, you have soldiers of what are the If you look at their the symbol on their armor, which is they're part of the jaguar tribe. Typically, many tribes identified by the wildlife. So you have the jaguar tribe, the snake tribe, what have you. They clearly identify with the jaguar tribe. That one's blurry. He might have a better one. Again, this is more with the Oba, and clearly his nudity is designed to show the strength and his virility. This is a soldier. On the right is a soldier of the Oba. Here's a celebration taking place with some musicians. Like, that's kind of a farther away one. These are two of the Oba's soldiers. And the detailing, these are bronze plaques. And the detailing on these is amazing. I should have taken a picture of how they do it, but there are still several bronzesmiths who are part of a guild in what is now southern Nigeria, and in Benin, and in the country of Benin, that still practice the art of making the bronze plaques, and are very well respected, very highly respected in the community. Um, Again, these men are part of the Jaguar tribe. I believe that's the Oba, but these may be priests. There's another soldier in the Oba's army. You see the florets, like, and we were trying to figure out whether the flowers depict something, or whether they are just kind of meant to be part of the landscape. Am I skipping? No, that's the same one. Here's the Oba going off to war. You can see his war horse, his shield. I mean, his shield, his sword. You see him fighting this soldier, a child who looks to be more like a water carrier or a standard bearer. not like a child soldier. There weren't very many. I don't think there weren't very many child soldiers at the time. That's a relatively new occurrence in places like West Africa, East Africa. But similar to in Europe, where the young boys would play the drums to keep the soldiers on beat, young boys had their place in war, but it typically wasn't on the battlefield. It was typically, as like I said, sword carriers, water bearers, squires, things like that. More depictions of the Oba soldiers. And you see they've got their war knives and they're ready to go. Although I believe these are more those are ceremonial weapons. I don't know that those are the ones that they would actually go off to war with. Here's a depiction of what is like the high priest in their society. Moving right along. Now, I forget if it was this one. This, I believe, is a depiction of a Portuguese soldier by one of the Benean bronze makers. And the detailing is amazing. I mean, the detailing is so... You can tell these are master craftsmen. In fact, one of the pieces of lore behind the Benean plaques is when Europeans first saw them, they naturally assumed that it wasn't Africans who created them. They thought that they had been like the second or third group of white people to show up, and that those white people were the ones who created pieces like this. Which was common. It was common for when Europeans first encountered the Sphinx, when they first encountered the pyramids in Meroe, in Sudan, when they encountered a lot of African architecture or the mosque at Timbuktu, they just assumed it was Europeans because they assumed us to be, it was thought that we were basically subhuman. So to think that these subhumans created these pieces that were comparable to European artwork, they couldn't have it. So many Europeans did definitely believe that much of African artwork was European in origin. Another, I believe this is another depiction of a Portuguese soldier. He's got his sword and he's got his staff. Like, again, this is how people in West Africa in particular, but particularly the Benin Empire, depicted its history. So if some historical event happened, it was depicted through bronzes. Again, people assume, remember that in much of West Africa, there wasn't a written language. That changed for the communities that interacted with Islam because they adopted Arabic. But for those communities that didn't adopt Islam, there wasn't writing. So the way that people depicted their history was through artwork. And so what has happened now is many more art historians are going to places like West Africa, South Africa, East Africa, and they're using the architecture, they're using the art pieces like the Benin plaques or statuettes or things that are left behind to tell the story of African history, which is still one of it's the Wild West, in terms of archaeology, anthropology. There's still so much to discover on the continent about African history. It's amazing. Now here is this is a propaganda piece. And I want you to look closely. I don't know if I have a better picture, so sorry about that. Cookie may have one, but I keep saying that like I'm going to go to his album, and I'm not. You see, the Oba has conquered the two jaguars, and he's made to submit to crocodiles. That is to show that the Oba is not only has the power of defeating his enemies, right, and taming his own tribe, but he has the power to control nature. And so this is meant to depict the Oba's power, right, and how much strength he has. And so that's important. This is as important as any portrait of a king would be back in Europe, because it's meant as less as a way to depict less. This is less history and more propaganda. Just checking the chat. Okay. These are more depictions. These aren't bronzes. These are this is actually gold. I think this is, yeah, that's ivory. This is gold. That's bronze. These are all smaller, different depictions. So I forget what the three men was, but this is this ivory piece is for the Oba's mother. And then this is a depiction of his children. And there were several Obas who commissioned the bronze plaque. So not every bronze plaque depicts one singular Oba or the events of his life. Here's another crest. They actually have a plaque on this one. Yeah, this is a ceremonial instrument. This is the gong. Let me see about this one. Rhythm is struck by the oba, the Queen Mother's palace during, special occasions, right? All of this really comes from between the 15th and the 16th centuries. Should have got closer to take a picture, but you can still see, even with the digital zoom, some of the detailing on it, just amazingly detailed. They had an ancient Egypt wing. I wasn't super impressed, but it was beautiful. The pieces were still gorgeous and well preserved. But I'm going to take Cookie to the Rosicrucian Museum down in San Jose, and that'll really blow your tits off. Here's a sarcophagus. This person wasn't necessarily a royal, but here's their sarcophagus. You can see where the spells are inbound and the magical journey. And there's my boy. That might be Sobek. My boy was looking for Sobek, boy. Here's another depiction of a sarcophagus again. This is straight stone. I touched it. I wasn't supposed to, but I touched it anyway. And you really, guys, don't follow me. Do not touch ancient shit, because the oils from our skin degrade anything that is that old, right? So don't touch it. Don't be like me, please. I didn't take a whole lot of pictures in the Egyptian wing. This is a depiction of sort of a Greco-Roman. This is a sort of a Greco-Egyptian statuette that was made in the period of Macedonia-controlled Egypt. Now we're into Greece. That's a depiction. That's a statue of Zeus. I believe this too is the statue of Zeus. That's Aphrodite. Her arms are missing, or her legs are missing. This is Achilles on the. This is Achilles and the Sphinx, painted on pottery. This is a wrestling match. I want to say, is this? No, this isn't wrestling. This is the gods. This is, I believe, this is the chasing of Athena. I forget by whom. Lot of gods chasing after women. That's a beautiful piece. This is. Let me see if I got the plaque on this one. This is the London class. This is a ceremonial drinking cup. I think this is another depiction of Zeus. I might be mistaken. So forgive me if I am mistaken. I should have taken more pictures of the plaques. I think that's Artemis killing a man. This is Pan, clearly. And boy, we took a picture of every one of these motherfuckers who had a goddamn erection, boy. Oh, it is the Boston MFA is amazing. It is huge, Sam. It is huge. Like, we went through with the propaganda wing, we did the Africa wing, ancient Egypt and Greece, and I think we did a little bit of America. And there's still so much we didn't see. Like, like I said, if you get to Boston, you have to you have to get there when it opens and leave when it closes, and I don't think you'll see everything. The food's pretty good. They have a nice little wine bar, so there's stuff to do there. But I would recommend, if you're going to go to Boston, just clear out your day and just go to MFA, period. There's so much there, and there's so much to look at. And it's nice because they do allow photography, not flash photography, but they do allow photography, so you can get a lot of nice pictures. I was obsessed with any pan that had an erection, and this guy had a big erection. Like, holy fuck! I want to say this is Archimedes. This is Archimedes. It might not be, but this is a Greek hero. And as you can see, like, he's got something going on in his front. But then you turn around and he's got that badonkadonk. And I had to get a photo of his big badonkadonk. Like, he got a big booty. He got a dumpy booty. All right. And this is, of course, one of the gods chasing another one of the gods with an erection. This guy on the side's got a giant erection. Like, everybody in Greek art's got a big ass erection. Like, how do they even let kids in here? This is Hercules. I forget what that actual depiction is. This was the one we really wanted a picture of. This guy had clearly, like, I want you to look close because he's got a small one. He's clearly got an erection. Like, the plaque said, this is Pan, right? No, this is Eros holding a fawn, and he's supposed to be delivering the fawn to his lover. But look at the loving look he's given to the fawn. Look at how freaked out the fawn is, and he has an erection. This nigga is having sex with that fawn. Let's call a spade a spade. They had to fucking. Oh, that's my necklace in the background. They had to, pare down on it. They didn't want the kids to know that the Greek gods were fucking animals, but what it was. These are the statuettes that were buried. We're in the ancient. We're in a separate part of the ancient Egyptian wing. these are statuettes that were buried with you and the depictions of people's everyday lives. They were buried with you to be servants in the next world. Right. And the cows, of course, were buried so that you'd have something to eat in the next world. And Cookie just loved the cows. He thought they were so cute. All right. I'm almost done. These are two statuettes that went into the tomb. We were in the part that we were in was actually the tomb of a very specific guy, but his name escapes me. He wasn't royal. He was just kind of I think he was a royal, like, appointee. You see, what I loved is the girl behind her has full bush, but this one over here got spotty bush. And it's like, so we got ancient Egyptian girls shaving their bush, huh? Yes, yeah, she got full bush. All right. Love it. That is a bust. And so we moved on to the sort of America, so like the end of Europe and America, because it's laid out in a way that you could walk through history, but we didn't. We kind of went our own path, so we ended up in different time periods, kind of starkly. That's a bust of Charles Sumner. They're all done by the same guy. This is a bust of, I want to say, Athena. Again, next time take pictures. This is a bust of Alexander Hamilton. I didn't take a picture of the plaque. That is a family from the 1800s coming over to the United States. And Cookie thought it was a cut and paste job. All the kids look exactly the same, but they all look different. It's adorable. The mother's just like, oh, I can't believe I fuck with all these kids. These are famous. These are so glad to have seen this, because mind you, we're at the end, right? And we had to go, like, we had to meet his parents. I was worried we were going to be late, so I was really keeping track of time here. But I was so glad I got to see these, and some of these are a bit overexposed. But we are definitely planning to go back, so gonna get better pictures of them. My flash wasn't on, but the light was coming in. Like, there's a big window and the light was coming in. These are casta paintings. These paintings were made in between the 16th and 18th century by Spaniards in what was called the New World in their colonies. And they're meant to depict the racial mixings of people. Now, there's not yet a connotation for Spaniards about who Black people are, or denotation about who Black people are, or any of that. That hasn't quite entered into the Spanish idea of race yet. So these pictures were made for people back in Spain to show them what the racial mixings of people looked like. So in the bottom two, you see what they called mestizo, which was like indigenous person mixed with Spaniard, and an African person and their offspring, and an African and he's male, female, and then there's a female African person and a mestizo man and their offspring. And then you have two albino people who have a darker skinned child. And then you have a mestizo Spaniard woman and a white man and their child. I believe this is George Washington's lounge chair. I got quite a few pictures of that because I want it in my house. And I think this is the very, very end, because I believe this is the last picture I took. No, it wasn't exactly the last picture I took. This is of George Washington and his horse. This is a very famous portrait. Like, this is, if not the most famous portrait of George Washington. And the way he's like looking away, like he has some shame about his horse, and the way the horse is looking at him like, nigga, what did you just do? It was hilarious. We were dying. We were talking about George Washington bumming his horse. That is a statue of Sekhmet. If you guys follow me on Twitter, I was mouthy Sekhmet for a while as a way to I haven't, Wholesome Punk, I haven't been to the Getty Museum in California yet. I don't know quite where that is. I haven't been to the San Francisco Museum of Fine Arts yet. So I'm up in the Bay Area, but certainly, I'm down. I'm a museum girl. So I'm definitely going to check that out. And if it's close or I'm going to be near it, I definitely want to check it out. But Sekhmet was the ancient Egyptian goddess of war, and depicted it with the lioness head. It became toward the New Kingdom and sort of the end of the New Kingdom, Sekhmet and Hathor were merged. So sometimes it's difficult to tell whether it's Sekhmet or Hathor. She was the goddess of love, and Sekhmet was the goddess of war. As I was saying, I was mouthy Sekhmet as a way to sort of play on mouthy Buddha. Sekhmet is my favorite ancient Egyptian goddess, always has been. There's a story of her. I'll tell the story really, really fast. Ra had created humans and he had looked upon us and we were sinful and sullen and he hated us. So in a rage sort of, he sits Sekhmet down to kill us. Well, he sort of changes his mind about the whole thing when she gets there. And he's like, listen, I don't know how to get her to stop because you know the bitch crazy. And so what he does is he has the people put wine into the water to make it look as if it's running of blood, right? And in some versions of the story, it's beer with dye in it, and in some versions of the story, it's wine in the river. Right. So she drinks and drinks and drinks and drinks, thinking it's the blood of men, and she gets wasted. And she's too fucking wasted. She's like, listen, I don't want to kill nobody. I just want to dance, nigga. And that is how Ra saved us from his divine wisdom and his divine grace. I believe that's the end of it. Oh, and this is the last picture I took. I was at the airport. You can almost, you really have to zoom, but you can see the bridge in the background, and I was so sad. We had so to go backward, that night after we left MFA, we went to dinner with his parents, and it was so wonderful. Everyone was super nice. Kowloon had good food. We ate a lot. It was Chinese. We ate a lot. The Singapore street noodles could have been better. I could have made that better, but everything else was really good. His dad's wife, Nancy, she made tiramisu, and we had tiramisu for his birthday. She made tiramisu, and it was so good. It's not classic tiramisu, but oh, it was so good. Because sometimes I don't like tiramisu when it's super soaked through with amaretto, and this didn't have that. Oh, it was so good, and we just had a really good time. Sat around, talked about the Red Sox. Oh, perfect. Like I said, everybody was so nice. It was just really a wonderful evening. And that Monday, so after we had dinner with his parents, went back to his flat, and I think that was the night we watched Star Trek, and we were fucking we were capping on Star Trek hard, boy. We were going in on this shit, laughing, and oh my god, we stayed up till maybe like 4 a.m, just dying, right? And so we had sex, and Cookie kind of, retracts back into the bed and says, "Listen, baby, I'll, just let me close my eyes for a minute. We'll go out and smoke." Right? That didn't happen. So I stayed up, and I looked around. I kind of packed a little and sort of got the stuff that I was going to leave with him. Like I bought an umbrella that day. I was not going to bring that back. Pack the stuff I was going to leave, pack stuff I was going to take home, try to figure out if I had space to pack the stuff I bought. I didn't. He was very sweet, shipped me the stuff that I had bought, that I couldn't fit, including the Rick and the Rick painting. And I sort of just stayed up. I watched him sleep for a while. I took, I'm a creeper when it comes to my man. So I always take a picture of the guy I'm with or the woman I'm with, like sleeping. I just think those are really cute pictures. And oftentimes, I don't like when people pose for photos. So when you're asleep, you don't pose, right? You're just in your natural state. And he looks like such an angel. And when he was out here, I took a picture of him sleeping. And now that he's, back in Boston, I took a picture of him sleeping. So it's a tradition. And he slept, and I stayed awake for a while, and then right about 6 I crawled back in bed with him, and I slept for a little while, and I was only supposed to have slept for like 2 hours till like 9. And I had an alarm that was going off. I set my alarm to go off at 9, 10, and 11, because I really, really wanted to get up early, go out and have breakfast, come back and pack, and then we'd leave for the airport. Well, that didn't happen. We got up. I didn't even do my makeup. I don't even think, I didn't even take a shower, because I really just wanted to be with him, and the thought of being with him, the thought of being away from him, right? Like while I was there, and I just couldn't to take a shower. I'll be stinky. Fuck these people. I don't give a shit. It was so hard. It was so we had our last cigarette together, and we waited at security to watch me go through, and kissed, blew him a kiss goodbye. And, I was strong then, but I got on that plane and I cried. I had my sunglasses on the whole time, and I was just like, do not talk to me. I don't want people to talk to me. God, don't talk to me. Just fucking let me cry. And there was an annoying fucking kid. No, actually the annoying kid was on the flight from Philly to San Francisco. but I just cried. I cried listening to a song that we had heard in the lift on the way back from Big Mama's house. Um, and only a couple of lines of the song apply, but I cried. I cried. In the last 20 minutes of the flight, the drink cart finally got there, and I was like, I want a rum and Coke. And before they could ask me for any identification, I just handed them my card. They took it, they swiped it, and I had my little rum and Coke, and that helped. I didn't feel so much like there was a hole in my heart, but I I say this and I will confess this clearly. If I did not have a dog and had I brought my laptop, which the only reason I didn't bring it because I knew I wouldn't use it. Same thing with my tablet. I brought it, but I never used it because when we're together, we're doing so much or we're out so much or we're doing so much other shit that there's no reason to use it. But I wouldn't have left. If I didn't have a dog, I wouldn't have left. We just stayed all day applying for jobs and shit. But it was really hard. And I got to Philly and it wasn't so bad. I had a couple slices of pizza and he was like, "Oh, you should get a Philly cheesesteak." I was like, "This place here is clearly some commercial bullshit. I want a real Philly cheesesteak from a real greasy motherfucker. I don't want my mouth tainted by some bullshit Philly cheese." The pizza was decent actually. If I had known it was gonna be that decent, I would have got a whole pie. But I fucking stuffed those 2 pieces of pizza in my face. I fucking went outside, smoked 3 or 4 cigarettes, called the family, tell them I'm all right, and to meet me at when to meet me at SFO and where I'm gonna be. And the plane ride back from Philly, I couldn't sleep. I tried so hard to sleep from Philly to SFO, and I just couldn't. I just couldn't. And I will tell you one thing, the United States cannot look down on North Korea because I was flying at night and I didn't see a lot of goddamn lights, all right? You niggas need some electrification in this motherfucker, all right? I knew I was in San Francisco because everything was lit up and shit. Like a city should be. Get your shit together. There was lightning when we were there was a delay. We actually circled the runway several times. And there was like a physical delay in boarding when I was leaving Philly because there was the storm in the Midwest and they were waiting for it to pass. And you could see out of the window the lightning, and I was like, please, please, Red God, I don't want to die on this plane today. But then I was like, you know what? If I died today, I would be happy as shit because I just spent the greatest time. Like I literally some of the best week of my life, you know what I'm saying, with my boyfriend. And we had an amazing time together. Like I will say this, we had way more fun together this time than I think we had when he first came out here. Mom and dad came to get me because there was no way they weren't going to. And I went home and I saw my dog and I was happy to see him. It was like 2:00 in the morning, but came out and saw him and everything was gravy and talked to, told them about the stuff that happened and finally passed out, from my exhaustion, and then woke up the next day and was just sad. I was so sad I bought a bottle of Bacardi, right? Just to like have at night when I started to miss him. But I'm not turning into an alcoholic. I've not even gotten to halfway through the bottle. I've had it for damn near a week. I'll have it for a little more than a week. But yeah. So that was my trip. I had an amazing time. Boston is a beautiful place. I would definitely recommend you visit. I will definitely be visiting again and soon. So I'm going to try to finagle him into maybe us doing a live stream or something while I'm there. But I thank you guys for listening. I needed to get it out, and I left out so much stuff that I didn't forget, but was kind of, inside jokish. But yeah. So I will be seeing you soon. Don't worry about that. You'll be seeing Mama very soon, and you might not like it when you see me. Aw, they are so pure. Oh, it's in the LA area. Well, next time I'm in LA, I'll definitely check it out. Sleeping photos are so pure. It is. Leaving your love is hard, but he's actually right there in the chat. So I got to call him I got to call him when I get off. So I will be seeing you guys soon. I love you, baby. Good night, good morning, good afternoon. Love you guys. Mwah.